I have to find a better way to like introduce this. And honestly, I've whenever I make content now, man,
Hmm.
I at the beginning of it, it was hard, because I would re-record it like maybe 10 or 20 times, just like the intro. So now I just begin it like I'm just talking to someone just mid conversation. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So like what I do for when I record, like sometimes I have scripts, but most of the time I don't. Most of the times I just have like an idea, like what I'm gonna talk about, and then I just go, and then I'll just keep talking. And if I like fuck it up, then I'm like, I just like stop what I'm saying, think about it, and then start it again. I'm like, I'll cut it out later. So if you watched it, the footage from like start to finish, it would look super bizarre because I would just stop talking halfway through. There'd be like a 2 or 3 second pause, and then I'd start talking again.
Because it's
Um,
hard. It's like a wave, Sometimes you get into that speech and you get into that feeling and rant, but then you just hit a roadblock, and then you're like, oh, what should I talk about?
Yeah, and I've found that it's really helpful to just stop talking for like a solid like I don't know like 5 seconds because when I go back to edit it, I can see that there's a big blank space in the audio, and I'm like,
Mhm.
oh, that's where I messed up. That's where I need to edit it out. Um, so that helps just on the back end, like editing it. But yeah,
Oh, that's a really good point because sometimes when I've had things where I had to edit out and I don't I don't put any spaces, I'm like, oh, where was that? And it's like
yeah.
2 hours of content, and you're just like moving it up a little bit and a little bit. But yeah, man. So like, how did you get into YouTube content creation, man? So I know you're really big into Flesh and Blood now, and a couple other games. But where did it all start, man? What's the meaning behind Red Zone Rogue? Like,
Okay. We'll start one at a time. Okay, so the first thing, I got into YouTube content creation. There are some fans of my channel who still know about this, but not a lot of people know about this. I actually used to have a video game Let's Play channel, where I used to run Dark Souls, Bloodborne. I'd have a full platinum series of Bloodborne, a full platinum series of Dark Souls 3. I
what
really
does
love those like
Platinum Series mean?
I 100% the game. So I got the
Whoa.
platinum trophy on Dark Souls and Bloodborne, but it was kind of like a guide, so it was a really long series.
Hmm.
Um, I have some reviews, um, and yeah, that's how I kind of started. I wanted to do like video game stuff, and that channel didn't get super big, like
Hmm.
less than 1,000 subs. Um, and I always wanted to do card game stuff, and I always threw like little tiny card game videos every now and then. They wouldn't get as many views, but I was like, I love card games, and I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna make a card game channel. And then I did. And I was like, I need a good name for the channel. And I had like maybe like, I don't know, maybe 10-ish names. And I wanted the name to be generic enough where I could talk about any card game, and it makes sense. So I didn't
Mm.
want it to be like a magic name, right? So people would only be like, oh, he's a magic channel. Or
Yeah.
like at the time I was into Force of Wills. I didn't want to have like a Force of Will name. And so I had a bunch of names. Like some of them were like Draw 3 Gaming, like just a bunch of stuff like that. And I really like alliteration. And one of them was Red Zone Rogue. And it's just amalgamation of two uh, TCG terms that a lot of card games use that I like. And I like the alliteration. So red zone is what some people refer to like at the combat area. So like you get into the red zone. If you're playing Magic, you attack with your dudes, you get into the red zone.
Mm.
And then rogue is a term people use for off meta deck builds. So basically, like a rogue deck would be like a weird deck or something like that. And I really love that kind of stuff. So I was like, yeah, it fits, and it makes a good alliteration, and I went with it. So,
That's
yep,
cool, man.
that's where that is from.
And tell me,
Um,
so when you're starting off, and I think you have something important there that I heard. It's like you were making video game content, but you're really passionate about card games, and then you're like, you know what? Fuck it. I want to make a whole channel of this. I don't care anything. Like this is what I'm doing. And do you think that is really? Well, I'll put onto you. I think that is how you really thrive because it's like it makes you passionate about doing that next video, that next video, that next video to keep it going. Like, do you think that's really got you going through it?
I mean, yeah, I mean, like I love card games,
I'll,
man. Like
I'll
anyone who
ask you a
watches,
question. I'll just answer it
yeah,
for you.
no, yeah, it's good. Um, I love card games, man. I've loved card games since I was a little kid. I've
Hmm.
talked about this a few times on the channel, but I've played card games since 1995, since fourth edition Magic,
That's
and
awesome.
it's always been like a huge part of my life. And I'm one of those people who just like really passionate, and my friends would be like, say they'd sort of be into it, and I'd be like, "Yo, let's play some more cards," and they're like, "Nah, let's go play GoldenEye or whatever, like whatever video game." Um, so yeah, I think being like genuinely passionate about like what you're talking about, like for YouTube, is super important, and I think a lot of folks can pick up on that. You know, a lot of viewers can pick up on it if you're like genuine, if you genuinely care about what you're talking about, if you really love what you're talking about.
Oh yeah.
I think it shows through, and it also the opposite's true too. So like if you watch someone and they're like super not into it or into it for like um I don't know, sponsorships or whatever, like, or to be popular. That's also kind of obvious. So yeah,
Oh, definitely. And it's like with those off days where you get home from work and you've had a rough day and you're wiped and drained, but you're like, okay, you know what? I just got to make a video. Like, got to talk about this trading card game or this type of thing that I really love. I don't know. I've been there so many times. I can't tell you, man. I mean, I love
yeah,
talking about Flesh and Blood when you get home from hard days of work. It's really hard to muster through, but it's a lot of fun, man, and it's cool to see how everything's aged, man. It's crazy. Like, how long have you been around the Flesh and Blood scene? I know it's been a since I started, like way before that too.
I've been here basically since the beginning.
That's
So
awesome.
I first learned about Flesh and Blood in 2019 at the end of the year. Not exactly right when Welcome to Race came out, because I think it came out in October,
Yep.
and I learned about it in December through some other content creators, some friends of the channel who don't really do stuff anymore. But I watched their video of it, and I'm like, holy shit, dude! Like, how do I need this? Like,
Yeah.
tell me more. I need this. And they're like, oh, I think the game is like right up your alley. And they gave me the contact information for the company, and they're like, you should just contact them. They're super cool to content creators. And so I reached out, and Ian, also a friend of the channel, he has a YouTube channel called Right Time Gaming. Ian,
He's a
who
really
was
cool
the
guy.
yeah, he was the community manager at the time, and I chatted with him a bit, and they ended up sending me all four of the hero decks and a booster box. You know, at the time,
Dang.
you know, it was an alpha booster box, but at the time it was like, you know, $70 or whatever. Um, and so I did my video on that. It's still on the channel. Like I opened up the decks, opened up the booster box, and yeah, man, I was hooked. I love the game like from the beginning. I love the flavor. I love the art. This the feel. Oh man, it's so good. And
Yeah.
my first like real deep dive into it was with Arcane Rising first edition. I basically bought as many cases as I could afford at the time, and it was hard to justify it at the time because even then my channel was much smaller, and I still love it. I don't care. I don't care if it's super expensive. I'm gonna go for it.
Yeah, you were into
Um,
Viserai too, right? Because I know Kale from Dead Summer Art's really into Viserai, and I saw you had a deck tech profile, I think, for Viserai.
Yeah, I have two per Viscerite at this point. I think it was one of the first ones. In my very first case opening on the channel for Arcane Rising, I opened up Grasp of the Arknight, and then
Oh,
for my second first edition case, I opened up no legendaries, and then in my third first edition case, I opened up another Grasp of the Arknight.
that's
So
crazy.
it was like it was telling me it's like do play Rune Blade. Here's all the shit for it. Um, yeah, so I ended up trading my extra grasp for a Tekla Foundry heart, I think.
Oh, that's
Um,
legit.
what's really interesting, I like to think about this and talk about this. What's super interesting about back then is people like who are into the game now, who came in the last couple months, they might not know, but back then, cold foil legendaries were about worth the same or even a little bit less than what unlimited legendaries are worth.
Yep.
You can get them for like $100, and that was still kind of a expensive for like a brand new game. You know, coming in from Magic, you're like, $100 is like a Jace the Mind Sculptor or whatever. Um, but I was like, I don't care. I want to make deck text and all this shit. So I bought all of the legendaries. Um,
Yeah,
so
man,
that
you're right. That information's gonna get lost over time too, because I
yeah,
think with the perception now, everyone's like, "Oh, this thing has always been about money. It's always been about investing in ma ma ma." It's not true. Like it honestly started around when I came in, like when Crucible War. I think it was around, the September 1st, right? Around that. That's when it first started spiking. Before then, and I've talked to so many different people in the community like yourself who've been in it from the beginning, they were like, yeah, it was crickets. Secondary
Yeah.
market was easy. Legendary cold foils were like $100, maybe sometimes even like 50. I remember, what is it? The Outcast Haven grew. They had this one episode where like, oh yeah, we kind of splurged. We bought that cold foil tunic for $75 each, and I was like,
Oh,
yeah,
that's really good. That was really good even
yeah,
back then. I remember when I was looking into it, the tunics were like still like $300. It's really funny. I opened up my cold foil tunic. I have a cold foil tunic. I opened it up from a booster box that I bought from eBay. Random booster box I bought from eBay
wow.
for like $78. And I got it, and at the time it was worth like $300. And I texted my girlfriend. I'm like, "Yo, I got a $300 card. It was so cool." And now that fucking thing's worth like what 10,000 or something.
Some
Like
crazy, yeah.
it's absurd. And I don't regret opening up any of my stuff because I opened up literally all my first edition. Opened up all of it. My only regret is I'm missing three. I'm missing three cold foil legendaries from the original, and I was going to buy them, but my mindset at the time was, I just buy them whenever I want, man. Like
Yeah,
$100. I just wait for the next paycheck and buy them whenever I want.
dude, I
And
know.
there was a Mask of Momentum on eBay going for like $90 on bidding, and I was like, oh, I'll bid it to like I don't know 110 or something, and someone outbid me and got it for like 115, and I'm like, bummer. I mean, I'll build Ninja like in 2 weeks, and then like in 2 weeks it was like $500, and I'm like, fuck. And then like in 2 more weeks it was like $1,000, and I'm like, well, I guess I'm just not gonna get
Well,
that.
that was a good dream. Yeah.
Yeah,
No, no, I'm
it
with you,
happened.
man. I was so close to buying these Rainbow Foil Alpha Majestics because I'm a set collector. I wanted to build like a full Rainbow Foil alpha collection, right? And I was like, should I buy the Rainbow Foil Majestics? I'm like, oh, they're kind of expensive. They're like, maybe I think $50 each. I'm like, probably not worth it. And I flubbed on it, and then yeah, 2 weeks they were crazy amount, and then crazy, crazy, crazy. Story goes on, but
Oh yeah.
yeah.
I I remember selling on my eBay because I wasn't playing Brute. It was like one of the only classes I wasn't building because I was
Hmm.
like, oh, I'll make a deck tech for it later. I had a foil Alpha Rampage, and I ended up selling it for like $25, dude. Like
Oh.
$25. It had a little a nick at the top that came in the booster. It was like that from the booster pack.
Mhm.
Um, I pulled that one from the same box that I got the tunic too. But yeah, I sold it
Wow,
for like 25 bucks,
that was
and
a
I was
good
like,
box though. Shit.
it was pretty good. Um,
But I
yeah,
mean,
my
here's the thing, like, how the hell could we have known that this shit was gonna go like this crazy? It's never done this in any trading card game I've ever seen. I mean, have you seen a trading card game that's done this volatile this fast? I mean, it's a good
no.
thing overall. I'm happy, like, the collections we've had, we're more well off now, but just
Yeah,
nuts.
like the only game that I can think of that's even it's not even that close. So when Force of Will first came out, it
Hmm.
came out like gangbusters. It did really good. Like the first I would say the first three sets were amazing. It
Hmm.
was tons of hype. People loved it. Um, and then they released the fourth set and it bombed so bad and tanked
Millennia
everything.
of Ages.
Yeah, Millennium
Yeah.
Ages. I have some back up there
Oh,
because
nice.
this used to be a Force of Will channel, so I still have a lot of my Force of Will stuff.
Hey, it might
But
spike someday. Like I know Rudy's holding like thousands of boxes. I think they're
yeah,
like
I have
50
a.
bucks too, right?
They're pretty cheap. I was able to get them for like $20 at one point, but I have a full set of the first cluster back there, and then I have a Japanese box over there of the very first set released. But like
That's awesome, man.
compared to my Flesh and Blood stuff, it's like nothing these days, which
Yeah.
is absurd. Um, but yeah, man, that's the only one I could think about that was even close in recent memory. Like some other games have been popular, like the new Digimon game is pretty popular,
Yep.
but it's not even close to like Flesh and Blood. Like there's not Digimon cards that are like $10,000. So
Yeah, and I
yeah,
think it is really related to the age group, honestly, man. I mean, when you have a product that's geared to 16 plus, you're gonna get a clientele that has more money. You're gonna get the older male audience, or male and female older audience who has a ton of money that 10 grand might not be too much for a bunch of people. And they're like, oh, yeah, I'd love to own that card. That sounds great. But to me, I mean, that just blows my mind. And
Yeah,
especially these boxes, like, I don't know. And I think it's the whole price perception, price memory. It's you and I remember those legendary cards for cold foil that were $100 each. And I remember the Majestics, and then somebody coming in now might look at those cards and they're like, "Oh no, that this new price is what I always remembered it as." So, but
yeah.
it's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just glad there's like unlimited, and unlimited pricing is more reasonable. I think some people are still scared about unlimited like legendaries,
Mm.
being like $100, $200 or whatever, which I understand.
I
But
think
I'm
that's a
glad
good
it's.
range, though. Do you think that's a good range?
I well, I mean, I'm biased. I'm
Me,
biased here
me
because I have a
too.
bunch of them. Um, but I think it's okay, right? I think
Yeah,
it's high. I think it is on the high side. Um, I would be comfortable if they were around like 50 to 100. I think that would still be okay, but they wouldn't feel as special. I don't know. They
yeah.
feel special. Like that's what one thing I really like about Flesh and Blood is like when you pull a chase card, it feels awesome. Like when
It
you pull a
does.
legendary or a fable, it feels so fucking sweet. Like
And there's no
especially if
bad
yeah.
legendary or fable that you like feel. Oh, this isn't the good one, right?
Yeah, and then,
Yeah.
like, even if you get the one that's, like, not for your class, you can easily trade it for, like, whatever one you want.
Oh,
Like
for
like I
sure.
mentioned, I pulled, like, an extra Grasp of the Arknight back, back in the day, and I traded it for a one that I didn't have, the Tekla Foundry Heart. So, like, yeah, like, it opening packs is great, and one of the things I really like, um this is about like unlimited, I guess, specifically, but like any like little kid can like walk into an LGS carrying it, and they can just fucking crack a pack and pull a fabled,
Yep.
pull like a $600 heart, and like that's so cool, man. Like a little kid can pull like this amazing card and immediately like sell it back or trade it for like a case or something like that. That's awesome.
Dude, it's
Uh,
absolutely beautiful, and honestly, that's the light side of the whole bullshit thing where cards too expensive. I can't play the game because I can't buy the things I want. And I understand there's that dark side, I'm very biased myself, but I'm just seeing green pastures, man. There's a huge light side to where literally, dude, I was in my pre-release weekend. We can go into that, right? And
oh yeah, yeah,
literally, like, where everyone's opened their packs, everyone's paid $32 to be in this event, and if you pull cold foil, bam, you just got $70 at least. You pull rainbow foil
oh yeah,
majestic, bam, that's $50. And then like after every round, bam, like there's a playmat that's worth $250. It's being awarded
yeah.
to some random person for participating. There's a really good side to this game to where when you hang out and you actually play the game and just chill out and do the events, you get rewarded for this, and you don't even have to win. And especially with the skirmish events, right? I just got an Azalea cold foil card, right, in the
Ooh,
mail. Yeah, I was really lucky about
you
that, right, man? And
did you
that
get a adult or young? I'm just curious.
I think adult. I don't
Nice.
know which one's better, but I think that one's like 6 or 700. So, long story short, it's a great time to where anyone can get in, and you can get some really cool things that if you don't want, you could just sell and fund your whole thing, man. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like
yeah,
it.
totally, totally. Like, I mean, once again, I'm very biased because my pre-release kits were like insane. They were
Oh,
absolutely
really? Mine weren't
disgusting.
very good, but I was happy
Um,
overall. What'd you get, man?
have you seen? You probably haven't seen it then. So my last two videos, I opened up my pre-release kits. Well, I opened up one. So here I live in Portland, Oregon. All of our events were at home, so I went to the local game store. Going Gaming, give them a shout out. They're great folks. Got my pre-release kit, came home, built the deck. We're gonna do like a webcam thing, and then I
Mhm.
went back to a second pre-release, and I did a event there, and then they had extra kits. And they were like, "Yo, who wants an extra kit? $30." And everyone's like, "Yeah, give me extra kit."
Wow.
So everyone got an extra kit. Um, and so my first pre-release kit, let me show you. My first pre-release kit, I opened up a carrion husk,
Oh, wow. Nice, dude. That's
and then
crazy.
my second one wasn't as good. It was still okay. And then my third one, I opened up another carrion husk. So I
Oh,
so I have two.
what's hilarious? It's just like the Roomblade Grass of the Art Night. It's making
Exactly,
you
man.
play Roomblade.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really funny because on my channel too, I keep opening scab skin leathers. I've opened up 3 freaking scab skin leathers and no other legendaries. Oh, I know I opened up a Brave Force bracers, but I keep opening like the same ones. The
Yeah.
game is just like, here you go. You can have the same card. So, like you're talking about like opening up something cool. I'm not going to sell this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to trade it for one of the other ones that I don't get. So
Yeah.
I'm going to wait until I get my boxes, and then whatever I don't get, I'll try to trade with someone,
Or keep it
which
for your
is super sweet.
401k, your savings.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because these stupid things are going for. I mean, they're not stupid. These are a sweet card, but
Yeah.
like it's going for like $2,000, like
Really?
$1,000 to $2,000 right now, man. Yeah,
$2,000? That's crazy.
I saw him like I think 2,000 might be on the high side, but I saw him like selling on the marketplace for like 1,600 or whatever. So yeah, it's it's weird and gross, but
And how beautiful is
it's
that?
sweet when you
You spend like
yeah
64 or maybe $100 to go in this pre-release, and then you get something that's like, 2 grand. Like oh no, 4 grand total. Like, oh, it's just
yeah.
beautiful.
If folks out there haven't watched the 2 videos yet, I would highly recommend it. Not just because 'cause they're my videos, but because they're weird. The packs are weird because I opened up Carrion Husk twice, right? But I also opened up like what is it called? It's the Shadow Majestic Defense Reaction, and I opened up 4 of them. I opened up
4?
four of the same Majestic in 3 pools.
That's
Um,
crazy. Yeah,
one
I
of them
pulled one of
had
those.
yeah, here we go. The Guardian of the Shadow Realm.
That's
I opened up
crazy.
4 of these. So I kept opening up like the same cards. And what's really weird about the Karen Husk in particular is that they were both like when you're going through the pack, they were
Mhm,
both behind a brandish. So like the common generic brandish.
mhm.
The first one was behind a brandish, and then the second one I was joking and I'm like, oh, is there a legendary behind this one? And it was fucking another carrion husk.
That's
So
crazy. Yeah, I
I don't
wonder
know
if
if there's
there's
like
some printing type sheet thing there, you think?
it could be some weird collation
Yeah.
stuff. I do also want to note, and I've seen this happen when I talk to other people about it. So at the LGS that I went to, my second pool, like I said, wasn't good. I didn't get a. It was okay, but I didn't get a legendary or anything. But
Mhm.
someone else at the event also got a legendary, and it was another carrion husk. So that
Whoa.
LGS opened 3 carrion husks. I mean, I got 2 of them, but they opened up 3 total. So like, there's some weird like correlation stuff going on.
And were that
Um,
out of, like, different cases that were
I
probably numbered in a line? That's crazy.
probably, probably. I'm not 100% sure, but we got I don't remember how many like kits my LGS got, but they got a bit.
Mm.
Um, Flesh and Blood's pretty active here in like the Portland area, so I think they got a couple like kits, like pre-release kits. But it's so weird that they were all carrion husks.
That is
Um,
nuts.
and and then one of my viewers said like they didn't get carrion husks, but they got like eclipse. Like they opened up like 2 or 3 eclipses at their LGS, but
Mm.
like nothing else. Which is I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, that is really weird. I saw Eclipse Existence, I believe, Cold Foil, and then I saw 1 Carrion Husk, and then I saw the Light Legendary being pulled.
That
But
was
other
sweet.
than that, I wanted to see the library, man. I still haven't seen one in person.
Dude, I have never opened up a cold foil fabled. I've opened up like probably hundreds of boxes at this point. You can see all these extra like loose boxes I have in the back that are open. I have way more that I've thrown away, but like I've never opened up a cold foil fabled, and I've only ever seen them that friends have showed me that like have had them.
I
So like
don't
some
even
local
think I've
friends
seen
here.
them. You've
He's
seen them?
like, yeah, um, yeah. I have a friend here. And I guess I won't say his name because he might not want
Oh,
it to
yeah,
be known.
don't.
But he's got all of them. So I've seen them all. I'm like, oh, dude, these are so sweet. Because yeah, but and
What do
he
you
had like a
do
channel
when
there
you're
too.
like that? Like, does he like lock them up? Well, I don't know if he told you because, like, back in the day, these cards weren't as expensive. Like, we were talking, they were like $500 each, which is still good. But now it's like, when you have the heart that's like 20, to 30, 40 grand, it's like, what do you
Yeah,
what do you do with these cards? Like, you can't take them out of your site or tell anyone in your immediate area like that you own these. Like, that's a huge red flag on your thing because you're like, hey, I'm going on vacation, and then
yeah,
someone's gonna knock your wall over. But
yeah. I mean, a lot of people will keep them in like safety deposit boxes, keep them in safes. Like I won't say what I do, but I don't keep them like here. So like I don't have like I have these ones that I got from my pre-release, but
Yeah.
I don't have like my tunic and stuff. Um, so like I know that other people like I don't have this, but I know some other people will have like safes like built into their walls. Um, if you watch Fabled Hunters,
Hmm.
Saint over there has like a freaking safe like mounted into his wall.
Yeah.
So like he showed it off in one of like the first videos. So like if you can afford like to have a safe installed, then yeah, go for it.
Yeah, that's so badass.
Um, yeah. So yeah, it's crazy, man. It the pricing of this stuff is crazy.
Yeah. How was
Um,
your event overall though, man? Like, did you have fun playing? Who did you play?
so I made 3 decks, right? The 3rd deck I didn't actually play. It was just the one that I took home because they're like, "Hey, who wants an extra kit?" So the first one I played Chain, and that's when I pulled the Carrion Husk. That deck was really good.
Hmm.
I opened up 3 Majestics and the Legendary, so it was a really solid deck. The Prism deck, or my second deck was a Prism deck. Um, the pool wasn't as spicy, but the deck was pretty good because I think Prism's just super good and limited.
Agreed.
Um, and I ended up going. We only had 3 rounds. I ended up going 2-1. I got second place for the light bracket, so I didn't win the play mat, but it was fun. It was a lot of fun, and the games were like super close.
Mm.
The only game that I lost, it came down to like we both had like 1 health. Like,
Oh
we both
wow.
had 1 health, and I made the mistake of I was greedy basically. This is how I die in most Flesh and Blood games. I was too greedy. Like we had a turn. I was like, he's at 1 health. I'm like, I can taste it. I can taste the victory. He's only at 1. He's
So
only at 1.
close. Just gotta
So
knock
he
him
like
down.
attack. Yeah, he like attacks me, and I am like, okay, so I'm gonna block with one of my those equipments. It's like Iron Hide or whatever. I would block with my Iron Hide and a card from my hand, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna be greedy and keep a couple cards and try to attack. And
Mhm.
so I did, and then on my turn I attacked him, and he immediately was able to pop it. It was like a Phantasm card. It was like I don't remember what it was, but it was like one of the really good Phantasm cards, and he was able to block with a high attack card. And then on his turn, he played a Dominate card.
Oh
Um, and I was like, if I didn't block with that equipment the turn before, I could have not died here
yeah.
because I could have blocked with the equipment and then something from my hand. But yeah,
That's how it
them's the
rolls.
breaks. Yep, it was still really fun. I really liked it. What about you? What about you? What was your experience?
I played a hodgepodge. I played Chain. I played a version where I was unchained, where I didn't use his ability because his ability is like scary to me as a player. I'm very like defensive and held back. What was cool about that thing though is I pulled all 4 of the Ironhide equipment, so it was like full Ironhide. I've never seen that before, and that was a fun deck. I played Prism. I didn't get very good polls, but I think that that here is just really, really good for sealed. I mean, just the
Oh
fact
yeah,
that any of your attacks that are coming in for like 7 or just big numbers, it's really hard for people to pop it. Almost impossible, I would imagine. Like
it's so random. Like
yeah,
the chance that they have one in their deck is like kind of low, and the chance that they have like one in their hand is like even lower. It's like, yeah, man,
exactly. And what I
it's so
really like
good.
about her is that if you get a soul counter, what I found out to do is find when they're going to attack you at a weak turn, and then if you have 2 blues in your hand, what you do is you use her ability for the token thing, and then you attack with the token for 4, and then you attack with something for like 5, so you do like 9 damage all at once, and they usually block it out. And then guess what happens? Next turn you have a full hand, so you attack with token again with go again, and then you attack with another big thing. You just can keep on put it in pressure. I think she's like huge, and not only that, she has that ability, but like you said, like the big attacks, like they're really hard to block. But other than that, I played the other one. I played Bolton, and I really didn't understand Bolton at first. Man, he was really confusing to me. But now I understand. You need V the Vanguard. You need at least 1, maybe 2 V the Vanguard. That card like makes him like everything that Bolton does. V the Vanguard does like the polar opposite to where they just totally like synchronize with each other where when you attack with it, then you can like give it go again and then give your other 2 weapons go again that turn too and just do like a baller turn. But have
Yeah,
you
my
you see that with people with Bolton?
so I did play against the Bolton, and I'll be honest, like at the beginning I was like crushing him, like
Hmm.
with Prism. But he took like 7 or 8 damage. He's like, okay, I'll just take it. And
Yep.
so he had a full hand, and he followed that up with 2 amazing turns where he was able to just like go all out, attack with multiple things. He had a bunch of like you know, charges in his soul. He had a bunch of cards in his soul. And
Hmm.
so he was able to just like go off and deal like an absurd amount of damage. And it really put me like on the back foot. And I was like really worried. I thought I was going to lose. So like he had 2 amazing turns, and I was able to eke out on the third turn. I was able to eke out and swing back. Like I was able to keep 2 cards and not die, and able to swing back with like the 1 cost 7 attack illusion. Hold on, I have it right here. Whatever it is,
Oh, yeah, that one's huge.
the the War Tune Herald, yeah, the 1 cost 7 attack, and he had to block it because he took so much damage before, and he
Hmm.
blocked with almost his entire hand, and so his turn was like he basically did nothing. He like arsenaled a card or something, and so that gave me the tempo back, and I was able just to go to town. Um, Bolton can be scary, man.
Yeah.
If he has the right stuff, even if he doesn't have the view at the Vanguard, which is really good. Um, if he can charge his soul so that where if you block with an attack action and it gets pumped and then he can just give it go again, he can just like he can like go to town, man.
Oh, I didn't think about that. So that pumps his attack to where you can give it go again. That's cool.
Yeah, so like it was this thing like if he charges, then anytime your opponent defends with an attack action, it gets a +1.
Hmm.
And since it got that +1, then you can banish the cards from his soul to give it go again. And yeah, it's he had some really good turns. My opponent had he did have V with the Vanguard, and he also had the other one, like the legendary one, the Lumina Ascension. He had that one too.
Oh, wow. He had that
Um,
card too. That's crazy.
yeah. To be fair, here I pulled out my Prism deck. I had in my Prism deck. I had this one, the Phantasmaclasm,
Oh, yep.
the
That's
uh
huge.
the big gross like 9 attack card. So I
That's
mean,
crazy.
he had good stuff. I had good stuff. So but yeah, man, it was scary.
Yeah.
It was pretty easy though because like not easy, but I didn't have to worry a lot about him popping my phantasms because he's playing Bolton and Warrior just doesn't have any 6 attack cards in this set.
Yeah, not at
Um,
all. Only generics would do it. But even still, man, I played against a ton of people who didn't have 6 attacks, and I didn't have 6 attacks for one of my decks. It's tough, and I mean,
yeah,
yeah, and I'm curious what you think. So like when I was playing, I played with a bunch of new players too, and I heard a lot of confusion. And I wonder if like, do you think sealed is a good format for introducing new players? Like I like the whole aspect of people get to open packs. Like that's fun. That's inherently a lot of fun. But then when what you're left with is just a bunch of piles that are just really confusing to new players, and maybe some people who've played a lot of TCGs are more apt to understanding it. But just the whole thing where you have to create your deck on the spot, it seems a bit tough. What do you think about that?
yeah. So like a little bit about my group that we played with. So like I said, Portland's a pretty hot spot for Flesh and Blood.
Hmm.
All of my opponents were like seasoned players. And in fact, they're all like content creators. So I played against Fab Foundry. I played
Oh,
against
nice.
Fabled Hobby, I think is his
Hmm.
name. And then I played against Dice Commando. Um, the only one I lost was Dice Commando, and then, like I said, it was really close. And so like these people like know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Um, but we had another pod of 4 like completely brand new players,
Hmm.
and they would just ask us questions like all the time. Like when I play a defense reaction, do I have to pay for its costs, or can I just do the thing, or can I just block with it normally? And I'm like, no, you have to pay for the cost. Blah,
Yep.
the whole thing. Sealed in particular is weird. This is my first like actual real sealed event because of COVID. We weren't able to do Arcane Rising.
Mm.
Um, sealed is I think there's less once you understand what's going on, there's way less decisions than I would like
Mm.
because like literally with all my sealed pools, it's just like figure out which class is the best, like
Yep.
which pool is the best, play literally every card you get from that class,
Exactly.
all almost all of the corresponding talent cards, light or shadow, and then most of your generics. Like that's how I did
Yep.
it. I was just
Yep.
like,
Same.
it's just like just put it all in. So
It's
in that
deceptively
respect,
complicated in that
yeah,
regard, because honestly, it's pretty easy at the end. You just put it into different piles and then select your hero, and then boom. But on the
yeah.
surface, it looks a little bit complicated.
Yeah, because you have all these cards and different types, and there's like brute
Yeah.
cards and shadow brute cards and all this stuff. But like if you just sort it into like all my brute cards here, all my whatever cards here, just put them into the piles, and you can just be like, which pile's the best pile?
Yeah.
Then it just builds itself. I think draft is going to be awesome though, because
Mm.
you don't have that problem in draft. In draft, you're picking as you go. I'm really excited to do draft.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
can't wait to do that. I've never done it in a TCG before, but it looks really fun. It's like 3 packs, I think, right?
it's 3 packs. I'm a huge fan of draft. I love draft. I used to compete. Long story short, I used to play in like Magic tournaments, and I
Hmm.
always did really well in like draft tournaments. So I love draft. Um, I've never done a draft for Flesh and Blood though, because of COVID and all that stuff.
Yep.
Um, and I would love to. It seems like so much fun.
Well,
Um,
what's great about it is it reduces that whole thing where people we were talking earlier are like, oh, well, Flesh and Blood's all about money, and you need a lot of money to play the game. Where sealed and drafts are formats where you don't need money to play the game. It's all about deck building and constructing and figuring that aspect, and everyone's kind of on the same playing field, except for the 1 or 2 people who just got insane pulls. But even still,
yeah, yeah,
you
but
with your own wit, you can pull ahead. You know.
yeah, and then you could also just get lucky too. Like you
Hmm.
can have good pulls too.
You could be
Um,
that guy.
yeah, that's one of the reasons I really like draft a lot. Like as a kid, like we never had like a ton of money as a kid, so like my parents weren't gonna buy me like super expensive Magic cards or whatever. So I went to draft a lot because it made things more fair, like
Hmm.
exactly how you're talking. Like um, as like a 10-year-old kid or whatever, I couldn't compete with all of like the top tier decks, but in draft I could compete
Yep.
because everyone's like on the same level. So I like it. I like it.
Yeah, it's cool in
Yeah.
that way, and it's cool too how you can choose on the spot and figure out like, okay, how is this card going to synergize with the rest of my deck on the spot? And that seems like a really tough, thing to do. I played Hearthstone a bit, and it was cool how they had that little add-on where it literally told you the percentages on the screen. Like this is 76% good in your deck, or 90%, and it you kind of have to do that, but overlay that on top of the cards in real life. And
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, I can't wait. It'll be really fun. I want to pick up a bunch of. I don't have many sealed boxes right now. I have like an Arcane Rising box over there, but I
Hmm.
would like to pick up like a lot more sealed boxes just to keep. So whenever like we can have events and stuff, I can invite like friends over and we can just do a draft. Like I just be like, we
Yeah.
crack open my box of Arcane Rising or whatever. We can just do an Arcane Rising draft. Like, yeah,
And how
that's
long do you
super.
think those will be available?
I don't know. So I've listened to. I watch a lot of Flesh and Blood content, and I've listened to almost every single interview with James White.
Uh huh.
Um, and he said, I don't remember which interview it was. It might have been the Team Covenant one, but he said that Unlimited will eventually go out of print. He
Yeah.
just flat out, it'll eventually go out of print. He doesn't know when it'll eventually go out of print. So the real question is like when. Probably not next year, but maybe at the end of next year, maybe the year after.
Hmm.
I can see that. Yeah, I can definitely see that. Um, pardon me. And he also mentioned
You're good.
that they're more than willing to make reprint sets with
Mm.
key cards. So like if you say you're coming into the game in 2023 or whatever, right? And Welcome to Wraith is like out of print. Well, maybe they make a reprint set that has Enlightened Strike in it, so you don't have to pay like crazy prices for your Enlightened Strikes or whatever.
Yeah.
Which yeah, that's really good.
That'd be interesting. I wonder how they would do the reprint set if it would just be the same thing, like Arcane Rising, but instead of unlimited, it's like some other word like revised, I guess.
I think what they would do, and this is what he was alluding to, is kind of the way that Magic does like core sets. You know how it's just a bunch of reprint cards.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
so they'll probably just pick the best ones or the ones that people need the most and just cram those all into one set. So it would be like the best, like a best of hits from like the first like 3 or 4 sets. So it'd be like you could pull a Command and Conquer or an Enlightened Strike or even like common cards like Sink Below. Like all of like the best cards would be in there
Be like a Kids
just to get
Bop album. No.
exactly exactly just to get them out to people who like need them, who are like new to the game, which
Yeah.
is that's super important. Like when I heard him say that, like I mean I've had a lot of confidence in the game for a long time, but the fact that they don't rotate was always like a concern because I was like, what happens when no one can buy the cards anymore, but you need to get like your 3 Enlightened Strikes to be competitive or
Mm.
whatever, whatever card. Um, but they're willing to do reprint sets, which is super good. It's like super healthy for the game. So
Oh, for
yeah.
sure. And it was interesting. I was listening to your interview with the professor, which congrats
Mm.
by the way, dude. That is awesome. Brian seems like a really cool guy. I've listened to his
Yeah.
stuff for a while now. How was that?
He's a really nice dude. What's really funny about that, like you
How
said,
did
like a
that
lot of folks,
happen too?
a lot of folks say like congrats and stuff. He messaged me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he messaged me. Um,
What a guy.
we both live in Portland. We got together a few times actually, and he's a super nice dude, man. Like he's really nice. We played some games. And he offered to do the interview. Like it wasn't even like my idea. He was like, "Do you want to do like an interview or something?" And I'm like, "Sure, man. Like,
Wow.
let's do it." And so
That's
I
awesome.
came up with some questions and we did it.
How
Um,
comfortable was his chair?
it was like very. It was like one of those like leathery chairs.
Mhm.
So like when you move around, it made like a kind of sound.
Mhm.
It was fairly comfortable.
That's good.
Um, yeah, yeah.
I like to ask random questions.
No, no, it's okay. All right.
But yeah, I
Um,
mean, his one video with The Walking Dead that really hit me recently. Like I've watched him for a while. I don't watch some of his videos where he talks about prices of just certain products because I'm not really into it. But that one really just hit me hard, and I could just hear like the passion behind his voice, and I really like his take on game pieces. I like how he talks about the formats of how game pieces should be available to all players, and he sees it through that lens of these are game pieces, and if you make certain cards not available to everyone, then people can't play the game in a certain way. So I've really respected his opinion on all this stuff in the past, and when I saw him get into Flesh and Blood, man, I was just so happy. It was just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I agree. I mean, like he's one of the content creators in the card game area that I respect the most. He's a really hardworking guy. Like he puts
Mm.
in constant constant work. He works like literally every day. Sometimes to like he's just a super hard worker, and I really
Wow,
respect that.
really?
Yeah, like so. Um, I'm glad that he's like on board with Flesh and Blood, and I think it's fantastic, man. I mentioned it in an old video too before I even did anything with him, but I mentioned that he was gonna talk about Flesh and Blood, and I think I still think it's a really big deal
Yeah.
because his audience. So like, right, so we already have a couple bigger creators talking about Flesh and Blood, right? So you
Mhm.
have like
The
Team
Rad
Covenant.
Brad.
Rad Brad did a couple things, but he like snuck it into like a
Yeah,
God of
yeah.
War video,
Yeah.
which is both pretty smart too because it forces his audience to see it.
Mhm.
Um, we have Alpha Investments, but the thing is the Alpha Investments audience. I'm sure there's some crossover, but it's different than the Tulane Community College audience. Not only does Tulane Community College have a lot bigger audience, like double the size,
Mhm.
um, his audience is more focused towards gameplay and like that kind of stuff. Where Alpha Investments, a lot of people are just there for finance, or just to see what weird crap that he does.
Yeah.
Um, where you know Tulane
We're
Community College, people are there for like the game. They're there for like new products and new deck techs or whatever.
Yeah, and it's not he's not very fringe at all. He's very mainstream, I think, for the whole well, because he's the largest Magic the
Yep.
Gathering YouTube channel, out there. And
Yeah,
and
he's
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 very homey and down to earth, it seems. So, getting like you said, that type of clientele to view Flesh and Blood, that's a game changer.
yeah, he's like his channel's very approachable, right?
Hmm.
Anyone can watch his channel. Like I think that's one of the best parts about it. Yeah, it's super super approachable, and it can really reach the super wide audience, which is what Flesh and Blood needs, right?
Yeah.
And it needs that kind of large creator talking about the game, talking about it from like a player's perspective, not a
Yes.
financial perspective. We need like a player perspective on a large scale. That's what Flesh and Blood really needs to like skyrocket, which is I mean, I'll be honest, man, like ever since he made his video on like how to play, I've seen like a noticeable increase of people like interested in the game.
Yeah.
It's not like viral gangbusters or anything, but like it's noticeable. So
Yeah.
it's working.
It's
And
hard to track, but I'm sure like and even over the time as those videos age and I'm sure he'll make more content. I mean, it's
oh,
just it's
he
huge.
will. I already know he is. He's making
Yeah.
more Flesh and Blood content.
Oh,
I think
sweet.
he might have mentioned it in our interview, but he's going to be making some more stuff. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's huge. And I
Um,
know you were talking about one of the topics I really enjoyed was the whole Blitz versus Classic Constructed. And it definitely seems to me like they're switching over. I don't know. Like when we were in this whole like 2019 or I think more in the 2020 era, we saw like a lot of Classic Constructed going down, but I think do you think I personally think, and this is just a theory, that they realized that the games were pretty long to do tournaments in local game stores. But if you
hmm.
have this Blitz format, you can pump out a lot of them. Because I've played a lot of Blitz tournaments, and I can tell you, like, to get into the top eight and then to go on, these games can go like 7 hours. But I can't imagine what it would be if it was classic constructed. I mean, you'd have to have people who are really like good at the game who know all the cards who can just instantly play. So I think that for the foreseeable future, like Blitz is going to stay. I think Blitz is going to be the premier thing, and then Classic Constructed is going to be around for like the whole like pro tour scene when you have the calling events. But yeah, I don't know, but maybe
I
they'll switch it all because I think they're doing a calling event soon and they're not doing Classic Constructed. But I don't know. What do you think?
So, someone made a really good point to me in a comment. They said that the first couple of Flesh and Blood, like really big events, they were
Mhm.
actually limited. They were like draft and sealed,
Really?
and then they swapped to, um, Blitz, and then now they've announced that they're going to be swapping to Classic Constructed for a couple of the ones that are coming up. I think
Hmm.
I'd have to look to double check, but I'm pretty sure some of the ones coming up are Classic Constructed, and they're like their theory was that they're just going to rotate.
Mm.
So like they'll just rotate the three things. So they'll do like limited, blitz, classic constructed, limited, blitz, classic constructed. And we'll see. I mean, well, I guess we'll find out in the next year or so if they do that. Um, I I think you're right. Like classic constructed games are super long and grindy.
Mm.
Um, I've played a lot of classic constructed, and every time I do, the games are super long. Also, I play like control like rune blade, so I just block everything.
That'll do it.
Um, Yeah, but even then, like even if I'm playing with like an aggro Dorinthia deck, it still takes forever.
Mm.
Um, so but even with that though, I think just the counterplay that Classic Constructed has, like the fact that you have kind of like a sideboard kind of thing where you kind of like choose what you want to put in your deck before you start.
Hmm.
I think that'll always be like the premier competitive format just
Agreed.
because it's like the most strategic, that kind of stuff. But I think Blitz is going to be like a really popular one for like new players and like smaller events.
Yeah.
If they don't do the rotating thing, they might do the rotating thing. But
Yeah.
yeah,
That sounds cool. Well, I don't know. I mean, it's good to me because it's good to mix it up, I guess, if that's what happens. But I hope Blitz sees more, in the future. I think they really took hold of it in the skirmish event with the webcam games. They had Blitz is the main thing there. And when I first got into the game, though, I was seeing these gameplay videos that were like 50-minute to an hour long. I'm like, ugh, it's hard to like go through like a whole game in an hour. I personally as a player, it's just fun to like knock out a quick game, 20 minutes, like boom.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like there's some days that I've gotten together with so for example Fab Foundry, like he's local, he's a friend of mine, and
Yeah,
so
on
I've
it,
gone over to his
right?
place. Yeah, I've gone over to his place a few times, and we'll just play Flesh and Blood for like 9 hours straight, man. Like just
That's awesome.
9 hours straight. Bring like all my decks, and we'll just play. And I can tell you, like the Blitz games are a little bit better to just pump through and get more repetitions in. Otherwise, you're going to be sitting there for like an hour and a half playing, whatever control deck in Classic Constructed, control mechanologist or whatever, which is
Oh
just
yeah.
grindy as hell. Yeah. So yeah. I really like, and I recorded the video today on them. I really like these blitz decks. These like pre-constructed blitz decks
Oh
with
nice.
Monarch. I think they're super cool. I think they're really good, and they're kind of complicated for new players, but I think that's the that's what Monarch is. Monarch has a little bit more complicated mechanics,
Do you like
but I
the
think they're
mentor cards? Like, did you
yeah.
play with them yet?
I haven't actually played with these yet. I literally just opened them up today,
Oh, nice.
like a couple hours ago. I want to play some webcam games with them, with some friends, and I might do that. But I, I do like the mentors. I think the mentors are really cool. Um, I think they're both really good, and they also have like a very distinct downside, which
Mhm.
means that they're not like overpowered or like windmill slam, because they don't have like pitch values, right? Um, so I don't know. I think they're good. I'll have to wait and see how they play, but I think they're really cool. They remind me. You mentioned Hearthstone earlier. They remind me of like the legendary quests in Hearthstone,
Yeah,
where
they do feel like that,
you have
don't
like a
they?
you have like a quest, and then you do the quest, and you get like a thing, and
Yep.
that's totally what they remind me of. Um, yeah, I
Yeah,
like them.
that's totally accurate, and they hog up your arsenal too, right? You flip it over and it stays there.
Yeah.
That's a pretty big
Yep.
downside too. And that's
Yep.
what I
For
love,
sure.
dude. It's like they're adding these new type of cards that you think like, "Oh, this is going to be so powerful." But no, like they always add this like counterbalance to it to make it not as good. Like you said, "Oh, you can't pitch the mentor cards and it hogs up the arsenal." Like those are pretty big downsides to the upside of what the card can do, and utilizing the upside versus the downside. It's all about playing the game, but it's good to see that they're making everything balanced.
Yeah, I mean that's one of the best parts about. I mean, I say this a lot. I
Yeah.
love Flesh and Blood. There's so many good things about it, but like I love that everything is like so well balanced, and there's nothing. There's like no card. Even like when you think about the best cards in the game, there's no card that you can play that's just like boom, I win the game. Like
Yep.
there's no card you play and just win. Like what's the best card in Flesh and Blood right now? Like Command and
Command and
Conquer.
conquer. Yeah.
Like even if they play Command and Conquer, like they don't automatically win. It's just 6 damage, and maybe it blows up your arsenal or something. Like I love the balance of it, and even games against another like player of like equal skill, um, games tend to be really close.
Oh
Like
yeah.
coming down to the wire. Like I mentioned earlier, that game in my pre-release against Dice Commando, we each had one life, dude. Like one life,
Wow.
and you see it a lot in Flesh and Blood. So
And even against new players, and that's what I think hopefully new players feel like you can get a veteran player down to like 3 health just because you're playing, and it's that 1 or 2 health difference that is what differentiates win or loss. But
for sure. Like Flesh and Blood is a game all about like incremental advantage, like small advantages that you get like over time. That's why like the tunic, like the Friendel's spring tunic is so
yeah.
good, because it gives you like a tiny advantage over time. And that tiny advantage
Yep.
ends up being like really good in the long run. Yeah.
So
I love it.
I'm wondering, man. So you how long have you been doing YouTube videos, YouTube stuff?
Um I think Red Zone Rogue was made in 2016. So here's the thing, like I made YouTube videos, and I made like Red Zone Rogue, and I think I did my video game channel like maybe a year before that,
Hmm.
but I really wasn't super serious about it until the beginning of 2020. So I went on like um there's some there's some deep lore, some deep Red Zone Rogue lore.
I love the lore,
Um,
man.
Yeah, I went on like a hiatus for about 8 months, so I didn't make any content at all on Red Zone Rogue for about 8 months, and I tried to make a Magic the Gathering channel called Red Zone MTG, and I did pretty good actually. But the thing is, and this is a theme, and this is why I don't really do Magic, is like I just started to not, I don't know how to put it, not be into it. I
Mm,
guess you could say. I was just not into it anymore. Like with everything that Wizards of the Coast was doing, even back then, like even back in like 2019 or whatever, I was just not feeling it. Like, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go back to Red Zone Rogue, and I'm gonna try hard, and I'm just gonna try to make just do whatever I want, play whatever games I want, talk about weird niche games, and we'll see what happens. And that was about the same time I learned about Flesh and Blood. Um, and so I've only been doing Red Zone Rogue like super serious for like a year. Well, a little bit more than a year. Um, if you go back and look, I put out a video that was called like "I'm Back." Like it was like "I'm back," and I put about my plans for like what I was going to do in 2020. And one of the plans was Flesh and Blood, which is hilarious now when you think about it.
oh yeah, looking
Um,
back.
because Yeah, it was like, oh, yeah, this new game, Flesh and Blood, coming out. I really want to talk about it. Um, and I wanted to focus on like smaller games, more niche indie games. I talked more about like Force of Will, and a bunch of other, like other like dead card games that I have back here. Um, but uh, but
Do
yeah, so I've been doing YouTube for a while,
Mhm.
but really seriously for about a year and 5 months, I guess.
That's cool, man. Yeah, and I always made I made some videos before I did my thing. I made some like I used to go like magnet fishing near me, and I'd
Hmm.
like do show like the finds and everything and what I got. And there's like a couple other video games a while back that I made content for, and then I just petered off. But because I really wasn't into it. But yeah, this has been like the longest running thing I've done as well. And it's interesting because people will see the finalized product to what someone is now, like us or Tiger Woods or fucking like any like celebrity or something. But it's like there's all this stuff along the way that needed to occur before you get that thing, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah,
That
I
always
totally I
fascinated
totally
me.
know.
Yeah, you probably know that. But
But
it's weird on the outside, and it's like what we were talking about with the cold foil cards. It's easy for people to see now what the thing is, but back in the day, it's like okay, it took a bunch of different things along the way to make it happen to what it is now. And when was the pinnacle point you think in Red Zone Rogue where you felt wow, like this is a success, like this is really working.
Okay, so it's hard to say.
Yeah.
So when I talked about Force of Will, I covered Force of Will for a while, and I was actually one of the bigger Force of Will channels. So if you played Force of Will, there was like me, Ruler School, and then TCG Scrubs, and then all the other Force of Will channels like basically quit or were like like smaller.
Mhm.
Great community, great folks, but like I was one of the bigger Force of Will channels, um, and that I considered to be like a pretty good success. I was like, oh yeah, I'm like a big fish in a small pond kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, but at one point, I don't know when. I don't know, man. It's hard. It's
Sorry,
hard to
I don't
say if
mean
there's
to
like
grill
any
you
any
here.
specific point. No, no,
I'm
it's good.
kind of
No, it's good.
curious is because it's
Um,
like I
I
don't
guess
know
when
if
people
I'd
started,
huh you
I
go
guess when people started emailing me about their games, I guess that
hmm.
I get emails about games. And people like try our game, do cover our game. I guess that would be like when people like start emailing you and want to send you free stuff because they think your content's good and want you to talk about it.
Like
I
which
think
was the
that.
first one,
So like
if you
I've
don't mind me
gotten
asking.
contacts from a couple TCGs. Like one of them is Genesis, um, which DM Armada has covered on his channel before,
Mhm.
and I've done like a video on it, and then I've a couple other like little ones too that I've
I heard
done.
Genesis is really good. That's the one where you're playing as a role play game, right?
It's like a grid based miniature game, but you
Hmm.
have cards instead of miniatures.
Oh, that's nice.
And so you move your cards on like this big grid. Yeah, I have some packs over there actually. But they sent me some stuff recently. I'm gonna do a video of them. But I guess that I've had a couple like what I would consider like level up moments or like turning points in the channel. Uh, the first like really big one was like I said when I came back from a like 8 month hiatus and was like I'm gonna try really hard. Um, the second one was like mid 29 or 2020. I
Hmm.
was just doing a bunch of random crap. I was doing Flesh and Blood, but I was also doing like a bunch of random anime games and all this kind of stuff. Um, and then I just sat down and I was like, you know what? I need to focus my channel. I need to get. I was doing pretty good still. I had maybe 3 or 4 thousand subs. I was like, but I need to focus it,
Hmm.
and I think it's going to be better for both me and the channel. And I was just like, I'm just going to do the game that I like my favorite game. I'm just going to do Flesh and Blood, and I'm just going to focus on Flesh and Blood. And so I made a how to start playing Flesh and Blood video near the end of last year, and since
Hmm.
then I consider that to be like a one of my like big like level up moments where I transitioned to like almost all Flesh and Blood content, like 90%, I'd like to say.
Mm.
And then I recently had another level up moment when uh, when I got picked up by Channel Fireball. So when Channel Fireball contacted me
That's
and they
huge,
wanted
man.
me to yeah, and they wanted me to make contact. Once again, they contacted me just kind of like out of nowhere. Um, and I would say that's another level up moment, because that happened, and then I also moved to our new house here, and I had my new studio, and I was like, this is another moment where I can like, push myself to like be better and like do better. And so that's my next level up moment. Um, and after like hanging out with Chilean Community College, the professor, um, it inspired me to like try even harder. Like I know I can do it. He mentioned in the interview, he's like I've seen your trajectory. I know you're gonna get there. And I'm like, that means so much. And I'm gonna try, man. Like I'm gonna
That's so
give it
cool coming from him.
give it my all. I'm gonna yeah, I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
So
cause like, the grind it takes to and I mean, I can't imagine well, he probably
oh
has
yeah,
learned a
man.
bunch of tricks during the years that, enable him to do it a lot faster, like the editing and all that stuff. I mean, but it's just it's a grind. But, that's go
Yeah.
I like what you
I mean
said
like
there, level up moments, and that's exactly what I was saying, like, little peaks of, like, "Okay, whoa, this is happening here."
yeah, like where you realize like you can like do better, or like you can do better, or something. It's hard to put into words, but you're like you just feel it. Like you're like I'm at a new era, like a new stage,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah, man.
If somebody reached
And
out to you too, what and they were like, "Yo, Kel, I want to be a YouTube content creator like you." What would you tell them?
um I mean, a lot of people, so here's another tiny little aside. You'll know that I do this a lot. I like talking, man. Sometimes I just talk a lot.
Dude, I
So
love this.
yeah, here's another little aside. Um the I like to watch a lot of other content creators, not just in card games, but a lot of other content creators just in general. Streamers, content creators. I just like watching stuff. I usually have it going on in the background while I'm doing other things. And so one of my favorite content creators, I really like Northern Lion. He does like indie games and that kind of stuff.
Mm.
And Dan Giesling, and they had a podcast where they just talked about like behind the scenes stuff. That's all it was. It was just behind the scenes stuff. Talk about nitty gritty, that kind of stuff.
Oh, for their
And
channels?
Dan, yeah, for their
Oh,
channels.
that sounds
Yep.
cool.
It was super interesting. It was called Check the Wire. I don't think they do it anymore, but it was super interesting. And Dan started interviewing really big streamers. Like he interviewed, oh man, I'm so bad with streamer names. He interviewed like some of the top streamers. I forget what their names are, but
Mm.
he interviewed some of the. I'm trying to think of their names. I'll think of it like in an hour or something. Um,
I'll be here.
but they yeah, they were saying how they got popular and what they
Mm.
did. And a lot of the times, and I took a lot of this to heart too, a lot of the times people who got really popular, like a Small Ant's a good example, he's got a huge channel right now. If you like look up like Small Ant on YouTube, he's over 1 million. He's got a lot of subscribers, right? um, and it's just like putting in the work, just grinding your ass off, putting in the work, and kind of setting yourself up for success, and being not in the right place at the right time, but kind of right.
Mm.
So setting yourself up for the best possible chance to skyrocket, right? So like put yourself in a place where like if whatever you're super passionate about, by the way, that's another key thing. Be like genuinely passionate about what you're doing.
100% agree with
Um
that.
yeah, and then put yourself in a place that if that thing that you're passionate about takes off, then you're there for the ride, man. You're gonna ride that wave up, because you're already there. You already have like the legwork in, and you're just gonna ride it. And since you're already super passionate about it, you're already putting in the time. Um, it's gonna it'll go with you, you
So what
know.
I'm hearing from
Um,
you, Kel, is you got to build your rocket ship, and you have to wait until the fuel arrives.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, like some people can just get lucky, right? I mean, you see it all the time. Like
Yeah.
channels just burst out of nowhere and have like 500,000 subs. There's some Pokemon YouTubers that I really like, that I remember I started watching them, and their channels were smaller than mine. They're really nice guys, and now they've got like 50,000, 70,000 subs, just because Pokemon like went crazy this last year.
Yeah.
Um, and I think one of the really big channels like mentioned his channel. I think Unlisted Leaf mentioned his channel, and then his boom just kind of like popped off. But his content was really good, so like people who watched his stuff because of that stayed. They stayed around for it. Um, so I guess long story short, do something you really like, put in the work, like put in the grind, and just do it, man. Like just put in the grind. If you make like 2 videos and like stop, then like you're not setting yourself up for success, you know.
Mm. Oh yeah.
But if you make like 200 videos and you just keep doing it and you just keep doing it, then like the chances are that if the success is going to happen, it could happen, you know. There's
Oh
no
yeah.
guarantees, obviously, but
No, none
um
in this world. And even those videos that you do in the beginning that aren't so great, man. I think I have over like 80 videos that I just deleted because they, I was starting out. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just like, and I had I had a really, really bad camera, Kel. Like I still need an upgrade on this baby. But I had one that was just like really bad, so I just deleted it. But it's all those along the way, and like you had the Magic the Gathering channel. You did that, all those reps really, put you up to what it is now, and it's cool to hear all this stuff, man, and it is true, and I think that what you said too with the person who in the Pokemon world who skyrocketed, you're like, well,
yeah.
but they had really good content, and that is important too. Is I think some people have really good content. It's just they haven't been found yet, and it's just setting stuff up. Like I saw your post, man, and when I saw it, I was so happy. You posted about Jesse Fab Cracks and his video. You're like,
Oh,
guys,
yeah.
this is like the most underrated video I've ever seen. Like, please check
It's
it
really
out.
good.
And I was like,
His like
oh yeah, because it was so good, right?
his animations were like really sweet, dude. Like they're
Yeah,
awesome. Like, and I looked at his channel. He had like 100 subs or 200 subs or something. And I'm like, what the hell?
yeah.
Like guy deserves more. And the same is true for like, I don't want to get on a place because I don't want to start naming people off because I'll end up forgetting someone. But
I no, I
like,
feel that way too. But do it, man. Plug.
but like Dead Summer Art, like dude, how many
Yeah,
subs does he have now? But maybe like 400.
yeah, I
He's
think
like the
so.
single most underrated Flesh and Blood channel. His
I
channel is
100%
so
agree.
good,
It's so good.
like
Those
so
videos I
good.
rewatched so many times. I even made a video where I watched every single one of his videos on his channel in one sitting. Like that's how much I love that shit. But you're right. I think, oh, so good.
like like his stuff is so good. Where like so I've been given spoiler cards for every set basically. So Arcane Rising, Crucible War, and Monarch.
Hmm.
And my Crucible War video, I think it's okay, but I've always felt that I could do better. And when I saw his videos, I'm like, I gotta step it up, man. His stuff is so good. I gotta step this shit up, man. Um, and so for this time for my Monarch preview video, I was like, I gotta try really hard. I think it turned out really well. Um, but yeah, like that kind of stuff. Like his channel is like so good that it like makes me want to try harder, you know?
Yeah. Oh, I feel that all the time with
Um,
different creators. I see what they do. I'm like, okay, I gotta step it up a little notch here.
yeah. So if people are watching this and you're not subscribed to Dead Summer Art, you should go you should go check him out, man. He's like really good. He's a super nice guy too. Like,
He's an awesome
yeah.
guy.
Yeah. I totally called a spoiler card too. He posted on Twitter. He's like he said the name of it was like Shadow's Mentor or something like that.
Hmm.
And he's like, does anyone guess? And I'm like, is it Lord Sutcliffe? Like that's the first thing I tweeted back.
I saw that. That was perfect.
Yeah.
Yep, that was it. Sutcliffe's
I was like
head.
I was like, is it Lord Sutcliffe? But wait, Sutcliffe's dead. I'm pretty sure that's what I tweeted. I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if it can be him. He's dead though. Well, it's his fucking head, dude.
I
Yeah.
guess they did something to like revive it. It's fucking crazy. And dude, we still don't have a book, do we? Do we have a lore book? I didn't see one.
No, man. I would love a lore book. That'd be so sweet. I want to know one of the things I was really curious about. Like, what this is a little biased because he's my favorite character, but like, what's Viserai doing now? Because like
I don't know.
he killed, I think he killed Sutcliffe, bunch of dudes, and then they ended up opening up that portal, and that's the last time we saw of him. And now we have all these like big
And the
old demon dudes
dudes,
come.
they made him make open the portal, right? Like I think they made him
Yeah,
do it, right? Yeah.
yeah. They were kind of like doing like a ritual thing, and then he was like kind of like the conduit or something, and
Hmm.
yeah, and then he like killed a bunch of them, ripped out their spine, and made it into a sword.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, Viscera is awesome. Um, and then that's the last time we saw him.
Just trying to
Like,
be
what is he doing?
cute,
Is he
made a
still?
sword out of somebody's spine. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. I don't know what
Ar-
he's doing, and honestly, my theory is He has the Arknight shard, and I think the Arknight shard is a Philosopher's Stone. So I think that they were probably
Hmm.
using him as a power source, but it was like a Philosopher's Stone type thing. But yeah, I think he's definitely gonna be a good guy eventually. But yeah, we still haven't seen him in any of the art. You're right. I mean, he was there at the Demonastery, and then like now we don't have him on the card art. So who
Yeah,
knows?
like I have no idea. Hmm. So one thing that I think is very interesting to know, and it might have already he might have already been alluding to what we've seen so far. But like I said, I've listened to all of James White's interviews and stuff. And in one of the interviews, he said that Viserai is going to be or is like a main character
Mm.
of Flesh and Blood.
Oh yeah, I
Like he's
remember
like
that.
one of the main characters. They're not just like a hero, but he's like a main character. And I think I mean him inadvertently opening the gates to whatever Irathiel or whatever it's called.
Hmm.
Uh, um, could have been he could have been alluding to that, but I think we'll see more of Viserai in the future.
Yeah,
Um, yeah,
I totally agree. Yeah,
yeah.
and honestly, man, the Monarch set, when you first saw everything it had to offer, like all these this freaking preview season and just the
Oh man,
card art, could you imagine? Like, I could, I didn't know it was gonna be this good, and I don't know if I'm being a little bit more biased because I'm drinking like the most amount of Kool Aid, both of us are for this game, but it's just so good.
yeah. Like when they sent me my preview card, I like geeked out for like 10 minutes straight.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, it's so fucking cool. It has like, this weird shit. Like, I'm like, it's so awesome. And it was like a shadow card. They sent me mutated mass, and I was like, then I was immediately thinking like, oh, what am I gonna do for the video? But yeah, man. I think this set's a home run. This set is so good. Um, yeah, man. It's so sweet. And there's like a bunch of cards that a lot of people haven't even talked about yet because they weren't technically spoiled. We've just seen them now that are
hmm,
like they're so good. Like the
yeah.
majestics, some of the majestic generic cards are just awesome, man. Like, have you seen? Hold on, I pulled one. Have you
That
seen
one, the
the?
suit two saber things where you can buff it by two. That thing's fucking crazy.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
exactly what I was gonna say.
dude,
I
that
pulled
one's
one.
nuts.
I pulled one, and it's like it's so sweet. And there's that other one too that like, um, what is it? It's like you if you have no attack actions in your graveyard, it gains like dominate, and then you get +1 intellect.
Intellect, yeah,
So you
that's
drop to
insane
like
too.
5. Yeah, this one, the exude.
What's
Come on,
crazy
focus.
is
Yeah.
that's not a once per turn. So I versed somebody and he buffed it by four, and it's like that's such a good card.
It's like one of my favorite part about this card is it's for the entire combat chain. Like the effect is for the
Yeah,
entire combat chain. So you can like dump this and then pump it up with whatever you want, either with this effect or with another effect, and then just go to town, man. If you have other attacks, you can just go to town. It's such a sweet card.
what
This is
scares
gonna
me
be
about that though is like, can you
it's gonna be a
imagine?
chase card.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be a huge chase card. But
Yeah.
can you imagine in the future if they have more cards like that and Command and Conquer, where it's like two cost, comes in for six and does some crazy ability that no defense reactions. You can make a deck with like a bunch of those and then pummels and then like 10% blue pitch, and you have a crazy deck where they cannot like do anything against like defense reactions and oh man,
Yeah. But I mean, I guess that's where like your armor would come into play, and maybe there's some
yeah,
other weird crap that they're gonna do. They've already shown like some new mechanics that help like so like prisms like auras, whenever she takes damage, they get destroyed and prevent damage. Um, I think we'll see more stuff like that in the future. Like if they introduce more classes like Bard or whatever or Alchemist, we'll probably see some new weird stuff that interact with that kind of design space.
oh for sure. Yeah, it's just the sky's the limit to it, man. I'm just looking forward to the future. It's gonna be interesting how this game ages and how they're gonna keep up this. But I really hope the player base grows and everything keeps going solid because it's one thing for the game to be collectible, and I think that they've done a great job at laying that bedrock. But like new players are so needed to this game, and hopefully, I think the card art. I think it was good play to make that pristine because that's gonna get people interested. Like, whoa, look at what this brute's doing. He's like throwing, you know, organs everywhere, just like devouring everything
Punching
in sight.
jaguars.
Exactly. And like before he was like wrestling a jaguar, and now he's just like punching it like wide open, and like that
Yeah,
jaguar is not having a good day.
yeah. He's just beating up all the wildlife, man. He's just walking around the wild and just punching all the animals.
He's a
He
hunter,
just sees
right?
he just sees an animal, just, oh, I gotta punch it.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't even care what it is. Like,
I hunt
just
with my
yeah,
fists.
yeah. He's
Yeah.
not even hunting. He's just out for a stroll, just like punching whatever he sees.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like
nuts.
I mean, like we are super early still in Flesh and Blood, right? So
Mhm.
like Flesh and Blood's still like a very young game, and we only have two talents. And in that post where they talked about talents, um, each region is going to have its own talent. So eventually we'll have 8 freaking talents with a
Yeah.
bunch of classes. And you have this mix of classes and talents, and it's going to be super cool. I think it's going to be really, really cool once we start progressing even more. So you can
Mhm.
have like we have a Shadow Brute, right? But what if there's another brute in the wherever the Savage Lands is? So maybe they're like a nature brute or whatever. So now then you have like this weird crossover of like cards, and I think it's gonna be really sweet. I'm super looking
Yeah.
forward to
Yeah,
it.
the design space is just, sky's the limit, and like you said, and I just can't imagine, I mean, when they do the world tournaments in like, 2 to 3 years, how much variability there are going to be between how many, different heroes you can play, and what deck construction. It's just going to be wild, man. Oh,
I think it's gonna be yeah, it's gonna be awesome, man. Like you said, there's gonna be so much variance too. Well, hopefully variance at like the high tournaments, the high end tournaments, like 2 years,
mm,
because like we'll go on Brute again. Like maybe someone could be playing Reinhardt, but someone's like, oh, maybe I think Levi is better or whatever, and
yep.
then someone's like, no, I'm gonna play my whatever other Brute, Fire Brute or whatever they come out with. Um, so like, and
My light brute.
yeah, Light Brute, yeah, um, yeah,
He's like
or
hugging the jaguar.
or like whatever it is from metrics, maybe like robots, like my robot brute, my Teklo brute. So it's
Yeah.
just like a big robot dude. I don't know. Like I think there's a lot of options, and I think it's really cool, man. Like I'm really excited for the future of Flesh and Blood. Um and yeah, man. Like it's hard to like put the excitement into words
It
because
really is, right? Because I feel like so bent up, and I just want to like verbally say stuff, but it's really more of a feeling and an emotion of, being in it to where something amazing is going to happen. It just takes time for this thing to mature. It's like a freaking wine. Like now we have the whole, it's just been bottled up, and we just have to wait a couple of years for it to ferment and to fully be the whole thing. And I think that now all the game pieces are here, but we still have many more years of cards and different things and more like actual game pieces. We've had the mechanics now, but once all that stuff has been out there, man, it's gonna be a wild ride.
every new set. So like this is something that I mentioned maybe a couple times before, but like Monarch kind of changes everything. Like it changes like my predictions for stuff. It changes everything because the class or the talent system um it expands things to like such a bigger degree.
Hmm.
And like every new set that comes out, like one of the key things now people are going to be thinking about, not just like, oh, what's the new hero or what's the new class. People are going to be like, oh, what new talents are we going to have? Like
Yep.
which ones are they going to feature? Is it going to be like the metrics or whatever? Is it going to be Arya? Like people are going to be like super speculating over all this stuff on top of like new heroes and potential new classes. The fact that they put illusionist in Monarch shows that they're willing to just dump new classes wherever the hell they want.
Yep.
Like it's not there's no set pattern, like cuz before we had, 4 new heroes, new classes, 4 new heroes, new classes, and then a big supplementary set that had a bunch of stuff. And then now it's just like whatever, man.
Yep.
They're going to do whatever. So like for kingdoms, it could literally just be any it could be anything.
Yeah. Could be four
It could
new
be
or three new. No
yeah,
idea.
4 of the same. It could just be like literally anything. So it makes it super exciting. Every new set release is going to be super exciting. Um, I mean, like, and just like Monarch, like it's not even out yet, and I'm so stoked to play with it, man. Like, I'm
Oh
so
yeah.
stoked to get my stuff and to get my boxes. And people always are asking, like, oh, how many How many gonna keep sealed? How many gonna whatever? I'm literally opening up every single box that I get, because personally, this is something that I think about. Like, if I keep the boxes sealed, what's the chance that I'm gonna sell it? Like zero. I'm not gonna sell it. So I'm
Yeah.
just like, might as well just open it. And if I get something awesome, then I'll have something awesome. Um, so I'm
Well,
I'm really excited to play with Monarch, man.
if I can sway you a little bit, so I'm keeping a lot of my stuff sealed, right? And the reason being is because I want to trade it, man. And I've heard
That's
stuff in
true.
the Welcome to Wrath era where literally people sold a box of Welcome to Wraith for like a legendary from Welcome to Wraith, like a cold foil. And it's awesome because it's like
That's a really
normally,
good deal.
yeah, isn't it right? Because
Yeah,
it's like, okay, from a case of Welcome to Wraith, you would get one legendary normally, right? One out of four boxes. But
if that,
literally, yeah,
if
if
that.
that, sometimes you get screwed. But when you can trade like a sealed box for a specific card, then you don't have to gamble. Then you don't have to throw the dice. And you and I
Yeah,
both know, we were talking earlier about this. Some Crucible War boxes were pretty dog shit. And it's like
yeah.
you could
Oh
open
yeah,
a box of Monarch and just not get as much fire. But if you hold on to it for like maybe 3 months, you could possibly sell a
that's fair.
box for legendary. What do you think about that? I don't know,
I
and to each his own. And opening the boxes is fun as hell.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I'll probably still open up all my
yeah,
boxes.
I feel ya.
Um, for multiple reasons, right? One, I want the cards. I'm more of a. I'm not really an investor, but even though I have expensive cards, I'm more of a collector. I like having like a play set of everything, so I can build whatever deck I want, right? So if I'm like Prism looks cool, maybe I want to build a Prism deck, and then I can just do it. Like I can just build it. And I've set myself up currently so I can just do that now.
Hmm.
Um, and so for Monarch, I'm like, oh shit, now I have a bunch of legendaries I need to get. Because like currently there's only 3 cards in the entire game that I don't own, and that's I don't have an Arknight Shard, I don't have a Shiana, and I don't have an Eye of Ophidia. So those are the only 3 cards I don't have. And luckily, I don't need those cards to build decks.
No,
Um,
not at all.
and so for Monarch, there's a bunch of really sweet legendaries, and I want to get the sweet legendaries. Um, you're saving it to trade. It makes a lot of sense, though. Hmm.
Isn't it? And what's cool too is I had a Crucible War box that when I purchased it, it was $100.
Hmm.
And at the time, for the longest part of my channel, I really wanted a lore book. Like that was really important to me. Like the lore is really cool in Flesh and Blood, but I can't spend $500, $600 for a book. I'm sorry. Like there's like a mental block in my mind that's like, no, dude, Bronson, like, nope, can't do
It
this.
better be like a 400-year-old book or something.
Exactly, not like
Yeah.
something was in like 2019 or 2018. So yeah, but I eventually waited until the box got valuable enough, and I traded off for the lore book, and it was such a
Nice.
sick deal, man. And
I I
subsequently
still
they
need
did good.
I still need to get a lore book. I do not have one, but yeah, they're sweet, man.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah.
And in
That
person,
yeah.
I don't mean to brag, but the pages, they look so good. Like the like the images in the book, and how it's heavy too. It's a lot heavier than I thought. But overall, yeah, but I can tell you one thing. I'm gonna be extremely freaking tempted to open stuff because I'm gonna need to hide it from myself. I don't know what you do. I mean, you have a lot of stuff in the background. I know a lot of the stuff is like open on the top there, but do you ever
Yeah.
fiend some nights? Do you ever go into your room and you're like, "Oh man, I just want to open this."
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Like like I said, I'm not really like an investor type guy. I don't really want to sell my stuff, so I'm just like, I could leave it sealed, but have you ever thought about just opening it? And I'm like, maybe maybe I just want to open it. It's really hard to keep stuff sealed. Um,
it is. Well,
the
for
the
me,
only
it is.
reason, yeah, the only reason like I keep stuff sealed. So I do have a bunch of sealed like random boxes back here, like right where I'm pointing to. That's Middle Earth CCG. Those are sealed boxes of Middle Earth
Hmm.
from like the 90s, and then this is Wyvern. But the thing is like I don't really need these cards for anything because they're like old and I don't really play them. And for the ones that I do care about, I already have everything. So I'm like, there's no pressure on these ones. And
Yeah.
then like right here, like Dragoborn, I have a bunch of sealed Dragoborn
So the
boxes.
siren's call is not calling you.
Yeah, or like the Force of Will. All these Force of Will boxes are sealed. But like the thing is like they're not just like open me. You could have there could be a fabled in here.
Yeah.
Like that's what it is for Flesh and Blood. It's like the Arcane Rising box just sitting there. I'm like, I don't have an Eye of Ophidia yet. There could be an Eye of Ophidia in this
Yeah.
box. It's a really low chance, but
But it could be.
it could be in there.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, I'll open it up. Um, yeah, I'm really bad at that.
Dude, I'm
I'm really bad
horrible.
at that.
Like, there's this one night, I had crew, and it was just laying out there, like, 2 or 3 boxes, and I was just feeling in a spot, and I was like, "You know what? I'm gonna open up some boxes tonight." And I just started opening the boxes, and then afterwards, I was like, "What did I do?" And the wrappers were everywhere. I mean, I pulled some good stuff, but even still, it's like, "Oh, I wanted to keep this sealed." But yeah,
Oh yeah.
it's just too much fun, man. And that sense of, you're right. You know, you're looking at a box, and you're like, if I pull something hot, that would pay for the box. And it's like, yeah, it's that whole gambler's mindset. But
Yeah.
yeah,
And it's
overall,
like,
it's a lot of fun. But
yeah, for me it's like, well, I could go buy an Eye of Ophidia for like $800, or maybe this box that I already own has one. Maybe I just open it up. I don't have to spend the money.
you could
But
be a
obviously,
winner already.
yeah, I could
Yeah.
already be a winner. I don't want to sway you too much from not opening up your boxes, but for Monarch, there are 6 legendaries, so the chance that you pull a legendary is slightly higher. It's slightly higher than the other sets.
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah, because each legendary still has the exact same drop chance. I'm pretty sure. They all have the same drop chance, but there's one more legendary. So if you average it all out, you have a slightly higher chance to get a legendary when opening up a box.
That's
Which
good
is
to
it's
know.
so like think about Crucible of War, right? Crucible of War, it was pretty hard to get a legendary, right? Because Shiana had the exact same drop chance as any other given legendary in another set, right?
Mhm,
So she had the same chance. You had the same chance to pull Shiana as you do to pull a like tunic, right?
mhm.
But that's like that specific card, not just like a legendary. It's like you have that chance to pull that specific legendary. Um, so since there's 6 legendaries, you now have a slightly higher chance to get a legendary.
So what you're telling
Uh,
me is I should ask for more than just 1 legendary for my box. I should go, like, maybe a
one
legendary and a foil majestic or something. That would be
one and a half
one and
legendaries.
a half. Cut it in half, and yeah.
Yeah.
So
Um,
what are you thinking you want to collect in from Monarch? Like, what's on your hit list, Kel? Like, what's stuff you're trying to get?
so I mean, like I mentioned before, I want to get everything. So I want to get like a playset of everything. I want to get all the legendaries. The ones that I want to get first, um, I
Like, all
really want.
first edition, or are you gonna, is this
Um,
unlimited kind of
it's
talk?
not that big of a deal for me because honestly, it prices me out pretty quickly. I'm not like a super rich guy.
Yeah,
Um,
me neither.
so like, I mean, I have cold foils and stuff, but the thing is like once I get to a certain point, I'm like, dude, I can't justify
Yeah.
dropping like $5,000 on a cold foil. I'll just wait for the unlimited and buy it for like $100 or
Yeah.
whatever. So I'm gonna try to get as much as I can while I can because I got my boxes at a really good price. I got a bunch from Team Covenant and I got some from a local game store here. Um, and so my like price, whatever you call it, my
Cost
the amount
basis?
cost basis is pretty
Mhm.
low for me for Monarch. Um, so I'm gonna try to get as much as I can for stuff that I open up like doubles, like these 2 carrion husks. I'm gonna try to trade to get other legendaries that I'm missing, but I want to wait until I open up my stuff to see what I'm missing. Um, so I would really the classes that I really want the most. This is gonna sound. I think Bolton is my
Runeblade.
least. Yeah, I would definitely want Runeblade. Yeah, a Chain. Not only is Runeblade my favorite class, but I think Chain's gonna be really good. Like
Yeah.
actually, just really good. Um, and I love the play style where he dumps just a ton of crap into his banish zone, and you just play like 6 cards in a turn, where you're just like comboing off. That's I haven't done it yet, but that's gotta feel great. Like
Oh,
if you
yeah.
do that, it's gotta feel amazing.
And you summon that one guy, Blasphemous or something, or the other one?
It's Urser for
Ursur.
Chain, Blasphemous for Leviathan.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Um, yeah, and then also I would love to build Leviathan because I do have a Brute deck, but I'll be honest, man. Like I suck. I suck with Brute. It's like my worst
Oh,
class.
same with me. I hate Brute, but I wanna
Like
get good.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
think Leviathan, like she's calling to me. I like her vibe. I like the cards, and so like I'm gonna give it a go for Leviathan. And I think the Carrion Husk that I pulled is gonna be really good in Leviathan. So Um, those are the 2 that I want to build the most. I think Prism is going to be sweet, but The problem is I think Prism is a fan favorite, and everyone's gonna want to build Prism. So I think all the
Yeah.
Prism shit's gonna be really expensive. So unless you get lucky, I think it's gonna be hard to get the Prism stuff. And then Bolton's sweet. I think he's actually gonna be really good, but he's like not. He's the least interesting for me because he's like a warrior, and he's gonna do warrior stuff. He's gonna
Yep.
smack you with swords and play Art of War or whatever, or not. What's not Art of War? The other one, the one from Crucible of War that like +2 and then go again or whatever.
Yep. Oh,
Um,
yeah, Spoils of War.
Spoils of War.
Yep.
Yeah, you're just gonna play all the really good warrior cards that already exist.
And you're gonna attack a bunch of different times.
Yep, you're gonna
Yep.
smack them with your weapon a bunch. I think it's gonna be good, but it's like the least interesting for me. Maybe it's because I played a lot of Dorinthia. I
Mhm.
play a lot of Dorinthia. Um, but what about you? Like, what are you looking forward to the
The f
most for like?
the first thing I think I want is to get a full play set of, all the cards in first edition up to Majestic. I have that for Welcome to Wrath and Arcane Rising. I haven't put it together for Crucible War. I might have that whole thing, I don't know, but I wanna have, like, a full play set. I wanna try to do that for every set, like, have a first edition complete set. Because in my mind, it's like, essentially that is a full set of basic cards because you don't have a basic version of the legendaries, so it's essentially a full set of just the basic stuff. So I think it would be cool to do that just because, man, it's so nice to have a book and like every once in a while, like I'll see it on the shelf, I'll bring it down and I'll just go through the artwork and I'll be like, oh man, this is just so nice. And just that whole, like, I don't know, reflection, starting this early is perfect because I know as the years go by, these cards are going to be hard to find, especially what people aren't understanding now too is the quality of them. The near mint quality. It's going to be hard. You're going to be hard pressed to find near mint in 5 to 10 years.
So that's a
But
really interesting
yeah,
thing I've thought about. So I think that Flesh and Blood is gonna have a really skewed graded card, like graded amount of cards for the first couple sets, because so many people are wanting to grade the cards.
yeah,
But that's only for the legendaries and like the really chase cards. I think for some of the lesser cards, it might be as we go on, it might be harder to find like the commons and the rares in better condition because people aren't caring as much about them.
yeah. People played
Um,
with them. Go
yeah,
figure.
I mean, dude, I still have decks built where I have first edition like majestic foils from like alpha foils in them because I'm
Oh,
just like
nice.
they're the cards that I had, so I
Yep.
just put them in decks. I should probably take them out, but um, so like my Runeblade deck, my favorite deck, I have a rainbow foil majestic of all of the key cards. So like
Oh, it's sick.
Arknight
Amplify Argnate.
Ascendancy, yeah, Amplified or Arknight Ascendancy, Mordred Tide, um, yeah, yeah, sweet, good, it's good stuff.
That's so cool, man. And yeah, it's crazy how it is, you build these decks and at the time I did the same thing and you're like, "Oh, this is like a $50 deck." And then, 3 months go by and you're like, "Oh shit, this is like $500. I cannot take this to my local store." Like,
One thing that I thought was really funny is for the longest time, I had just all of my cold foil like commons and all that kind of stuff just
mhm.
in a fucking binder. They're just like in the binder with all the other shit. And then I realized I'm like, oh, these are like $500 each. I should probably take these out.
Only in the
And so now
binder you like just take places?
I don't really take it
Oh, okay.
places, but yeah, it was just like in a binder on the shelf, just kind of like just sitting there.
That's
And so I
crazy.
was like, I took them all out and put them in like the nice like the magnetic cases. So now I have a giant fucking stack of just like cold foil commons just sitting over there because I opened up so many boxes in the early days.
That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah, because those were
uh,
bulk for the longest time. It was like 10
they were
bucks
they,
each.
they were fucking
5.
$10, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a video on my channel where I did like it's like a Arcane Rising sealed pool, and I pulled like the lens, like I forget what it's called, the one that lets you opt to.
Mhm.
Um,
Uh,
Talismanic lens,
yep.
talismanic lens. And I think I put in the video like the dollar amount is like $10 for like the cold foil. Pretty sure that's like $600 or $700 now. Like
Jeez.
it's absurd.
Isn't it crazy? Did you ever talk to, like, have you ever made oh, Obviously you've talked. But you ever made older videos where you look back now and you're like, "Oh my fuck, like what the fuck?" Like I made a video where I talked about Shiana being $500 on release and I was like, "There's no way this card should be like this. This is insane. Like this is way overpriced. Wait a bit, it'll go down." And then I look back and I'm like, "Oh, no, did I actually say that?" Like,
So
were there any moments like that?
I'm not gonna go there now because I don't want to mess up the recording here.
Yeah.
But my second video ever for Flesh and Blood, I opened up the Alpha Welcome to Wraith box that Legend Story Studios sent me, and I pulled a Rainbow Foil Alpha and Light and Strike, um,
Wow.
which is worth like a fortune these days. And I pulled it, and I was like, I didn't know anything about the game. Like I knew a little bit, but I was like, that seems pretty good. Like the art's really cool. I know it's special. Like if you go back and watch my reaction, I'm like, I know this is special. Like I know it's sweet. And then like if you read the comments, there's a comment down there. Like some guy's like, I'll give you $60 for it. And I was like, no. Like I don't even know if it's worth that much, but like no, I'm not gonna sell it. So yeah, it's really funny like watching like the perception of things change. Where I like literally my first box, I open up like a one of the most sought after cards, and I'm just like, this seems pretty good, I guess.
Yeah.
Like it's probably pretty good.
Especially the
Uh,
box, yeah, the box openings, like you're saying. Like I made a video, and I've watched other people's older videos, and yeah, the reaction to like, oh yeah, I got this card. Oh okay, this cold foil equipment. Oh that's nice. It's like, but now it's like you pull that, and that's a big hit. That's huge. It pays for the box and stuff.
yeah,
But
man,
yeah,
cold foil
man.
commons were $10 all day, every day back then. Like easy. Like people are just like, yeah. Sometimes you can get them for like even cheaper. I remember I got all the ones that I wanted for my decks because I was like, yeah, I can like pimp it out a little bit, and I was able to get some of them for like $8, and like man, like there's a lot of hindsight here. I was like,
Yeah.
if I knew, because at the time, once again, no one thought it would get crazy. You're just like, yeah, I can just buy it whenever I want.
Yeah,
Like,
because it never happened with any other TCG, like, to this extent, and it just
yeah.
went
And
crazy.
I played so many. You can see I played so many card games, and I've been to so many card games. I'm like, yeah, maybe it gets more expensive. Maybe it's like the booster boxes are like $100 instead of $70 or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe the cold
yeah,
foil card goes to $20, $30 even. Can you
I was
imagine?
like, I wasn't even that. I was like, nah, it's
Yeah.
probably just gonna stay like $10. Like, people aren't really even playing it all that much. Yeah, it's probably
Well, because the
probably not
silly
gonna get.
thing is it's fucking, like, I mean, especially Welcome to Wrath, it's iron rot. Like, you have an easily
Yeah,
replaceable card for, like, pennies, and then
I
you're
don't.
saying this, cold foil versions, like, even then, it was 1,000% plus from pennies to $10. Who thought it was gonna go up to crazy amounts?
Yeah, I mean, the iron rot in particular is hilarious these days
Yeah.
because I think the iron rot's like been outclassed by like just other common cards. Like, is there an iron rot card that you would still even run and just not run something like a just another common card? Because I think there's been so many stuff printed, you just run like a different common
Yeah.
over iron rot. Like, I don't think there's any reason to ever run iron rot.
I don't think
Um,
so. I mean, maybe the helm, but in very, very
yeah, I mean, like,
rare.
you could run the helm, but like only if you don't have like a skull cap, I guess. Like,
Mm,
if you have an Arcanite skull cap, you just run the skull cap.
yep.
Um, and then like the chest piece, you just run the tunic because it's literally the same thing, but tunic's just better. Like, and then boots. I think all the classes have boots. I don't know. Anyway, but those cards are like super expensive. So
Yeah,
like,
but
yeah,
it's hilarious because you can just, yeah, you just use the cheap version. Well, I guess that's with a lot, but I don't know. It's wild, man. And you know what? I wanna transition a little bit. I appreciate your time so far, man.
yeah, no
Before I
problem.
forget, so there's this little game that's come out called MetaZoo. I don't know if you've heard of it. No, I'm just kidding. I like I know you've made YouTube content for the game, and you've talked about it. I've watched your videos and I'm trying to understand why
Where
this
is
game is so good. Like I
it?
currently Oh yeah.
Yeah, where is it? Oh, it's right there. Metazoo's right there. Yep.
Oh yeah, yeah. You got some MetaZoos in the backgrounds. Like I currently don't understand it. And I think that there's a growing sentiment where when people don't understand something, they like to take, especially in Flesh and Blood, they like to take either polar, sides. It's like either I'm going to love this to oblivion and drink the most amount of Kool Aid, or I'm just going to not like this at all and just say it's for investability.
It
So, With MetaZoo, I'm not. I think I'm gonna stay like in the middle, and I think that that's good. I think more people need to be open minded because I see people like you. I see other people out there who really like MetaZoo, and I'm like, you know what? I think there's something there, and I want to understand it. And like, I think it's got something, but I don't know what that is yet. What is it?
Yeah. So like I talked about this in a video that I called something like MetaZoo is more than just money, where I talk about like why I like it. MetaZoo is a very interesting thing. I don't think it's for everyone.
Mm,
I mean, just like how Flesh and Blood is not for everyone either, because Flesh and Blood's very like adult in terms of like graphicness and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Um, but like MetaZoo, like gameplay wise, would appeal to people who like really silly, casual board games. So, like, if you are with a group of friends and they like just really goofy board games, I think they would like MetaZoo because there's a lot of like weird, goofy mechanics with MetaZoo, right?
Yep.
Like,
If you're
you
in
get
a
to do F,
forest, it gets like plus 50 attack, right?
yeah, or if like there's a potted plant within within reach, you get a bonus thing. Like, there's a lot of just silly stuff like that. I don't think it's not a serious game, even though it's worth like a ton of money right now.
Hmm.
It's not like a super serious game. It's just kind of like a silly, jokey thing. And I think if you like approach it from that perspective, it's just like a silly, jokey thing that has like Bigfoot and like the Mothman. If you like these weird cryptid things, then go for it, man. Like I think it's kind of cool. I think it's charming. Like it's charming for me the same way that like Pokemon was first charming when I first like played it as a kid,
Mm.
right? It's like kind of like this kind of like weird cutesy monster things. The MetaZoo is kind of has some brutal art. There's some brutal art in MetaZoo actually. Um, and if you take away like all of the like the stonks, like the absolute like crazy
Stonks.
pricing, yeah, the stonks, the diamond hands. If you take away all that stuff, it's just kind of like a silly, goofy game about cryptids that has like Bigfoot and the Mothman, and the art style is like a watercolor art style that kind of looks like old Pokemon. It's made by an indie studio. There's like less than 10 people who work on the game, so it's like a very small operation. And personally, I really like that kind of stuff. I like seeing like small like passion projects succeed. One
I
of the
feel
reasons
you
I
there.
I love Flesh and Blood. They just came out of nowhere. Just a small, once again, small passion project. And I mean that's kind of what MetaZoo is, but it's for like a different audience. Um,
Gotcha.
but
And is
they're
it I think I saw like some kid on the front of it, and I know you have a spell book and your cards are called pages, and I think that like it said something about long ago like the cryptids used to exist and now they're existing more because something happened. But like do you catch them like Pokemon, or are like do you turn them into pages, or how does that whole thing work? Do you know?
So like in the lore, I don't really know how it works in the lore. I think you like catch them or tame them or something in the lore.
Mhm.
Um, but in gameplay, like your deck is like your book, right?
Mhm.
Your deck is your spell book. It's just like a replacement of words, right? So a page is a card, your deck is your spell book. You just draw cards and then you play the dudes. It plays very similar to like Magic,
Mm.
like honestly. It plays very similar to Magic the Gathering. And I was actually talking with the professor about this, and he was asking my opinions on MetaZoo too. And I told him I think one of one of its biggest weaknesses is the gameplay currently, because it
Mm.
plays very similar to Magic. Whereas something like Flesh and Blood, once again, is very unique. It's like its own thing. It does not copy in anyone. Flesh and Blood is just on its own thing, which is amazing.
Yeah, the
But
mechanics are incredibly unique. But yeah, well, because they even had that one card, the Chaos Crystal, and that looked
yeah,
looked pretty close to a Black Lotus in what
yeah,
it does, right?
there's one for each of the colors too. So there's a bunch of them that are basically like Moxen or whatever.
Mm,
So I mean, it plays very similar to Magic. You can attack them though. That's one big difference. Like all the artifact or item cards have health, so you can destroy them. So like if your opponent plays their Chaos Crystal, you can attack it and kill it like pretty easily. Um, but it still plays very similar to Magic, right?
mm.
It's not exactly Magic. Other people have said it's like a mix between like Magic and Pokemon and like a couple other games. Um, but like flavor wise and just kind of like themes, it's just kind of like a goofy thing. Like
That's cool.
Maybe,
I like
yeah,
that aspect, and that makes it because I was taken at face value at first, and I was like, if they were trying to be serious, I could see how it's not. But I guess if they're just like, yo, we're just gonna have fun with this. We're just this is very like whimsical. Maybe that's a good word for it.
yeah,
Then
yeah.
yeah, I can see that. Then I mean, it definitely looks like it has legs. I talked to a bunch of different people, and I mean, the Discord apparently is very active. I mean,
Oh
do you
yeah.
think that this is a lot of like a younger audience or an older audience?
I think it's actually an older audience. I think the
Older,
like
okay.
one of the core audiences for MetaZoo are people who liked Pokemon when they were a kid.
Mm.
Like that's a big audience. And then also like just people who like cryptids. Because like there's a huge untapped market of people who just love cryptids, man. Like
What is a
people who
cryptid?
love like Bigfoot. Like Bigfoot
Oh,
or like the Loch Ness Monster or Nessie. Like those are all cryptids, right? And there's like 100, there's like probably thousands of them. Like every country has a bunch of their own local things. So like Mexico, you have like the chupacabra or whatever. And so
Japan,
like
I think you have the kappa. Have you ever heard of that? It's
yeah,
this frog
yeah,
thing. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And so like I know one of the sets they want to do is going to be like in Japan. So you have like a bunch of Japanese ones and stuff. And they want to go like all over the world and have like different like cryptids for different areas of the world.
Gotcha.
Um
So like
and
folklore type stuff. That's kind of
exactly.
interesting.
Yeah, and I think it's cool because it's real stuff, right? It's like real recognizable things without making your own IP or copying an IP, right? Because like everyone knows like what Bigfoot is.
Mm.
Like it's a really recognizable thing. So they didn't have to make up their own like, you know,
You don't
make
have
up
to
their own.
copyright Bigfoot.
Yeah, exactly. Um so I don't know. Yeah, I think it's just a goofy thing. I know they want to do like more tournament gameplay, like organized play, but I mean that's true for any card game. Any card game is going
Mm.
to want to do that kind of stuff. But for me personally, I just see it as like a just kind of a goofy game. That's just kind of like weird and whimsical and fun. If the way I've been describing it in my videos is if you're a fan of Magic the Gathering, the unsets, it's very close to like the unsets, where there's
Gotcha.
like weird mechanics where you just do weird things and yeah, I think it could be fun. Um, I
How many
think
boxes did you buy recently?
um, I did not buy any actually.
Oh,
The creator of the game, Mike Waddell, actually sent them to me.
oh,
So
nice, man.
he sent me 3 Kickstarter
Yeah, I
boxes.
saw you got the one with the K. That's really cool. And
Yep.
I know there's like another type of box where you look at the back and something is special, and you didn't get any of those. But even the K
Yeah.
boxes were like 1 out of 5,000, right?
Yeah, they're like the Kickstarter ones.
Yeah.
And he just sent them to me, and obviously I'm not going to sell them or anything. He sent them to me so I can make videos about them and show off the cards and do all that kind of stuff. And that's exactly what I've done. Um, and I'm going to be buying some. I'm going to be buying some first edition when it comes out.
Mhm.
I know if folks who are familiar with Flesh and Blood, like other Flesh and Blood sellers, Deck Edge will be selling MetaZoo. So, I mean, you could hit up Deck Edge and ask him about MetaZoo.
Really, Jason's gonna be selling that stuff?
Oh yeah, I've
That's
already talked to
awesome.
him quite a bit. Yeah,
I'm gonna have
he's
to buy
actually
some
going.
boxes.
Yeah, he's gonna have really good prices on them too. He's gonna um, like give me like a certain amount of like depending on his allocation, but I want to offer some to like my patrons to be able to buy. So I've already talked with Deca, like with Jason. He's super cool dude.
Dude, Jason from Deck Edge is one of like the coolest sellers. Like I had talked to him on Discord all the time. Like he's just a really, really cool guy, and I just love what he's doing, man. Where it's like he's keeping the cost bases low and selling stuff boxes for cheap. I mean, when you see that thing on a site that says like, "Hey, we sell affordable, cards," it lives up to the name. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a good thing. And so you're going to take boxes and then you're selling it on or you're giving it away to like patrons, and so how does the
Um.
whole Patreon thing work? Let's get into
So
monetization world. Like I haven't
so
really
like
explored that world.
for Deck Edge, it was
Mhm,
actually his idea. Basically, he's just gonna have some set aside for my patrons that they can
mhm.
purchase. It
Oh,
was basically
nice.
just kind of like holding them for my patrons so they can buy if they want to buy them. And so I basically just asked my patrons, "Yo, who wants MetaZoo stuff?" And they were like, "I want a box. I want 2 boxes." And I told Jason, "I'm like, hey man, put me down for like 20 boxes. Patrons want like 20 boxes." And so
Mhm.
whenever they're able to be sold, I'll give them a link and they can buy them or whatever.
Oh, that's awesome,
Um,
man.
yeah, yeah. Like I said, Jason's super cool. For like monetization, Um, it's hard in the YouTube world if you are a smaller channel.
Uh-huh.
Unless you have like hundreds of thousands of subs, you get like no money from YouTube. I mean, you know this, man.
Yep.
Uh, Even my channel, like I have 6,000 subs now, and my videos are doing really good recently. They do like about over 1,000 per video, but even then, man, I get like $200 a month, maybe if I'm lucky, like on a good month,
Gotcha.
from YouTube. Um, and like even like a couple months ago, I wasn't even getting 100. So like for YouTube, you get basically nothing. Um, and then so if, like for Patreon, I wanted to make my Patreon, and I wanted to make it be like have value to people.
Mhm.
Like I didn't want to just be like give me money. Like I didn't
Oh,
want to
I
just be like
totally agree. I'm
yeah.
on that
And
same
so
boat. If I ever open one, I would want like you to get value, not just me making videos.
yeah, so like part of it is supporting the channel and supporting what I do so I can continue it. Um but also part of it is like I have these certain tiers where like I give you cards back, right? So it's kind of like not like a loot box thing, but like a little bit. So like depending on the tier that you sign up for, I'll send you like a random booster pack
Mhm.
or some random rares or foils or whatever. And I do that every month, and it's just a way to like support me, but to also maybe get something back too. Because like that's what I would like, right? If
Yeah.
I was going to someone's Patreon and they were like, $20 a month, send you a booster pack every month. All the proceeds goes to support the channel. And I'd be like, sweet. Like I give them $20 a month, and then I get some random stuff every month, which is like cool. So it's like a win-win kind of thing. Um, the pricing was tricky. I had to price it in such a way that I would actually
Yeah,
that I
net
would
out
actually
after
like
shipping and everything.
it would actually help
Yeah.
because like even if you ship in a bubble mailer, it's gonna cost at least like $3 or $4. Plus like buying all the product, plus like buying all of the bubble mailers and all of that stuff gets added into it. All of the ink for all of the stuff you're printing, like just all adds up. So I was like,
And that's
what
the
would make
hidden stuff you don't think about initially. You're like, "Oh, I'll just do this." But then when you add up all the like how much work is the all the shipping thing? Cuz I considered it in the beginning, but then when I thought about like, "Oh wait, this means I'm going to have to go to the post office." I was like, "Oh man, I don't wanna deal with this crap." Like it's
it's like
just
a
yeah.
it's like a full days of work. So like every month, I ship out probably 20 to 30 packages a month. So what I do is there's a bunch of websites you can go to that where you can just like print your own labels. You just pay
Mhm.
for it on the website, just print your own label. So as long as you have like a printer and you buy like these labels, like just buy labels, like they look like regular piece of paper, but they just have labels on them. And so you just print your own labels. Um, and then I just go to the post office and just drop them in the drop box. I don't have to wait in line or anything. I just walk up, here you go, and then I walk out.
Oh, that's legit.
But it still takes like a day because like I still have to like print all the labels and make sure all of the packages are the right for the right people,
Mhm.
um, and for the right tiers, and then for the ones that I just do like the just the regular cards, I just do a regular, envelope with a stamp, and I handwrite all of those. It just takes time, just a lot of time.
Yeah,
Uh,
man. Like the only thing I've done so far on my channel, and this wasn't monetization. This was just me like giving back a little bit. But I did a tournament type thing in December 2020, and I thought about the shipping thing too. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bypass this. I'm gonna have Midtown Merchant gift card codes. I was like,
oh,
haha, and that was really smart. It worked out good. But the problem is, dude, even that, I was like, I was worried. I was like, okay, is this email address like good? Like, am I giving this person the correct coupon code? I had to double triple check it, and then I had to like put the verbiage out there of like, hey, you won this. And I only had like four different people, but even still it took a couple hours for me to like get all my shit in order. And I can't imagine like doing it on a large scale. You really have to be prepared to manage that, because then it's like you're not in the content creation business, you're more now into like the shipping and handling realm.
yeah, like I made the mistake. So in my MetaZoo videos, I gave away some promos
Uh-huh.
and a little behind the scenes stuff. About only 60% of my audience is from the United States. 40% of my audience is from other places in the world. And I was
Uh-huh.
like, you know what? It's almost half. So I don't want to be like half the audience doesn't get anything.
Yeah.
So I was like, you know what? I'll ship it wherever, man. Like I don't care where you live. It's gonna cost me like $20, but I'll ship it there. It might take you two weeks, 2 months to get there, but I'll do it. Um, and so I recently, on all the MetaZoo videos I did, I gave away like a promo. And then I had my 5,000 subscriber milestone where I gave away a scab skin leathers. And so I recently had to mail all of that stuff out, in addition to all of the patron stuff, and then like some other stuff. So I was just like this giant stack of just like mail. Um, and I went out to the mailbox like outside, and I was like, I wonder if I could stick these in like the little slot.
Mhm.
And I was like, try to put it in, and they're like slightly too thick. And I'm like, I don't want
Aw,
to damage the cards. I'm like, guess I'm going to the freaking post office tomorrow. Um,
that's
but
crazy.
but yeah. Um, for YouTube, man, to get money from YouTube if you're not like crazy popular, like 100,000 subs,
Mhm.
it's hard. You have to what I tell folks is like you have to like diversify your income, like diversify the sources. So like there's like Patreon, and then there's also like whatever you get from YouTube, which is almost nothing. And then like if you have affiliate links or whatever. And then like if you do like contract work for like Channel Fireball or what the Wraith Times, I think they do article stuff these days.
Mhm.
I have a thing with like FabDB where I have like a like a sponsored video every week for FabDB. So it's just like all of this stuff, all of this stuff that just adds up. And no individual thing is like a lot of money, right?
That's a
No
really
indi-
good point.
no individual thing's a lot of money, but when you add it all up, it's well, it's like a part-time job. Basically, it
Yeah.
adds up to like a part-time job.
But if you're
But
passionate about it
it's
and,
getting there, yeah.
yeah. And what's great that I see too is if you have videos that have rewatchability and that have that type of thing, then that can like go on for like years and years and years.
So, that's the secret sauce. So, you have okay, so
I'm
this is not
wise
something I
above my subs. No.
so yeah, this is not something I talk about a lot.
Yeah.
Um, but this is like this is the
Aging.
secret. This is the secret sauce to like making I don't want to say good content, but making so okay. When I make a video, right, I
Yep.
think about not just the topic, but I also think about what kind of video do I want to make. But what I mean by that is how how are people going to find this video, and is this going to be a video that does really well in one day and boom, that's it, or is it the kind of video that's going to be really good over time?
Mhm.
And I think videos that are evergreen, what I would call an evergreen video, is the type of video that people can watch and people are going to like search for, right? So
Mhm.
like how to play type of videos, a deck text, that kind of stuff. Those videos typically don't do like gangbusters in one day, but I found they do really good over time. And
Yeah.
those are the kind of videos you'll end up getting a lot of subscribers from. Um, those are like I said, that's the secret sauce. Like when you make a video, if you're just putting out a video that's just like
Like
this drama thing happened today, like no one's gonna Google, no one's gonna search for that,
yeah.
right? Like that's not a good evergreen video. If you're talking about like whatever the drama's going on, or
Monarch preview video, like or preview cards for like this day in
yeah,
2021. Like, yeah,
yeah,
like you're gonna get a
yeah,
lot of views instantly. But you
yeah.
think someone's gonna want to watch a preview video in like 2 years when all the whole set's been out for a bit?
Yeah, so, like,
Yeah,
those kind of videos are good, like, in the moment, but it's really important to have good evergreen videos. So, like, I like to do these videos a lot, and I like to think about what the audience is, right? Who's the audience? Like, is it a viewer already, or is my audience for this video someone who's never seen my channel before?
mm,
Um, and, like so, like, when I made, like, a how to start playing Flesh and Blood video, that video, was for, like, new players. People maybe they're subscribers, but maybe they've never actually played Flesh and Blood. Um, and those videos they always do really well in the long run. So, pardon me. One video that I made was how to start playing Arkham Horror, um, and it was like
great
basically just like
game.
a yeah, I love Arkham Horror. So it was like how to start playing Arkham Horror, and that video initially started out like way low, like no one very few views. But I told my friends, I told people at work, I'm like, I think this video has the potential to be really good. Like, because
Mm,
this is a good evergreen video. And it is currently now like my most viewed video on my channel. I
that's
think it's like
awesome.
the number one viewed video on the channel.
Uh huh.
So like that kind of stuff is really important. So like
That
Like I
is
said, this is secret
such an
sauce.
important concept. And you know what I like about you, Kel, is you've got these buzzwords that fit so well with these concepts. That that are in my frontal lobe. Because the hottest video that I've ever made is literally it's an evergreen video. It's a minute and 20 seconds long, something like that. It's titled "How to Tell Rainbow Foil from Cold Foil." It's
Good
shot
one.
on the shittiest camera ever, but like when you're getting into the game, that's what I thought. I was like, how do I tell? If you're not used to the cards, and it's got like I don't know, like I think 3,000 views now or something.
Yeah,
And I just shot it in like a minute and a half or something. But I when I saw that, and it kind of led me to believe the same thing. It's all about how our video is going to age, and in the moment, it might not be very hot, but over time people are just gonna find it organically and want to view it in the future. But yeah.
yeah, yeah. So every time I make a video, I like to think about that rather than just like gonna make a video. I like to think about like, is this gonna be like an evergreen video or is it gonna be like just kind of like a one shot kind of thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really important. So yeah, that's some secret sauce. Like I said, I don't talk about that a lot, but if someone's watching like this, like two
This late
hours
in.
in, there you go. There's like your 2 hour your reward for watching for 2 hours.
2 hour piece of
Um,
enlightenment.
yeah, yeah,
is
yeah.
is there
Um,
anything you wanted to ask me? I feel like in a lot of these, I'm on the burden of like, well, not the burden, the pleasure of continuing the conversation. So I tend to steer. But is there anything you wanted to ask me, or
um,
topics you want to
well,
discuss?
you've already mentioned when you started playing because just over the talking. You said
Mhm.
you started playing around Crucible of War. Have you played any other like card games other than Flesh and Blood?
I played
Like,
Magic the Gathering, but not as much. I mainly collected that, and I tried to play decks, but I would always make some like really like janky shit, or just like some really stuff that like didn't work, but it had like this really convoluted plan. Like I love the infinite loop decks; those were a lot of fun. And then I really liked mill decks. Apparently, mill is crazy now because they printed some card in Magic the Gathering that's like this crab that mills like 3 cards for some like stupid for landfall. It's insane. But before that, yeah, I would just play with my friends. And my beginnings of trading card games, man, is like I was like 14 years old, and my friends and I would do like odd jobs to get money, and we'd go to the local game store and we'd buy a shitload of bulk. And
oh yeah,
I would sift through this bulk. I wouldn't even make decks. I would just like look at the art. And I had no idea what was going on. I was like, "Oh, I love this. This is really cool." And I just like try to make like weird decks, but it's just that kind of mindset that I came into being. I wasn't really in a competitive uh notion, and as I got older, I was like, "Oh, hey, there's these cards that I couldn't afford as a kid. Hey, now I can buy a booster box, and sell all the cards I don't need and get a bunch of bulk." But yeah, man, that's where kind of led me in like this day and age. That's how I got into Flesh and Blood.
I mean, buying my first booster box was a magical experience, man.
Yeah.
Like I said, as a kid, we didn't have a lot of money, so I didn't actually have a booster box until I was like, I don't think I bought a booster box until I was in college. Like I had the extra money, and it was like Magic, like 2011 or something. I don't even remember. It was like 2011 or 2012. And I was like felt like a kid at a candy store, man. I'd never
I
opened up that
know.
many packs. I
It
was like,
feels
oh,
it feels dirty, right? Like I
yeah,
didn't open one until I was 29, Kel. Yeah, when I was young, like I had money, but I was frugal as fuck, and I just didn't really want to spend. I didn't have like the most amount of money. I just didn't, couldn't really justify it. But when you're
yeah,
adult, isn't it? It wasn't that such a good feeling, man? Just having own box and like, oh
yeah. I mean, I put out a tweet today that kind of mentions like, so I was like, anytime I sit down or I'm like, I'm gonna buy something for myself, I'm gonna buy something fun for myself. Then I think to myself, or I could just buy more Flesh and Blood.
yeah,
And I'm like, man, I'm just buy more Flesh and Blood. Fuck
yeah,
it, buy another box or whatever. I could buy this video game, or I could just buy another box of Flesh and Blood. I'll just buy the box, man.
yeah.
Um, so
And
yeah, it's funny. Like now these days, I just have all these boxes and shit. But like as a kid, not at all. I had to like scrape for pennies to buy like singles. I remember my brother bought, it was either like 30 or 40 prodigal sorcerers, like revised prodigal sorcerers. He just went to the game store and he's just like, I want these, and he spent like, I don't know, $5 or $10 or
Why?
whatever, just got like a stack. He just really liked the card. It was just kind of like, I don't know, it was really funny.
That's cool.
I bought him a beta prodigal sorcerer like for a birthday like a year or two ago, back
Oh, that's
before they
perfect.
were like super expensive. It was maybe like 10 or $20 back then, but I don't know. I don't know how much it's worth now. It's probably worth a lot, but
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Who knows what that stuff is crazy.
but yeah, man. What about any other? So I know you play Flesh and Blood. It doesn't sound like you play a lot of other card games right now. Do you play any other games? Like, do you play any board games or tabletop like role playing games like D&D or anything like that?
I was really big into D&D in college, and I had a really good play group that lasted, I think, like 8 months to a year, and
Nice.
that was really magical. And it's just really cool how at the beginning of D&D, I think people really don't get it, but then after a while, when you get those experiences with your party and you're really attached to your hero, I really love that like aspect of it, and everyone's just drinking and having a good time. And I think that that is kind of the aspects of, what I liked about Flesh and Blood. I think there's a lot of that where you're hero centric and you're using abilities. And I got into D&D 4E, and a lot
Hmm.
of the cards or a lot of the things in the book are essentially like these abilities. And it says, hey, this is how you use this ability. And when I see Flesh and Blood, it feels a lot like that, where you have these cards that kind of represent that, and you're the hero when you're fighting, and yeah, man. I mean, I played a good amount of D&D. I played video games a lot with my college friends. Other than that, man, like the tabletop realm and the trading card game industry, it's very new to me. I got into it more in the last, I think 3 years ago. I got into just collecting Magic the Gathering, like the old sets, the Urza's block and Homelands and Fallen Empires, just because I
I,
like the art and like
I, hey
I
man, I love
yeah.
Fallen Empires. It's a
Dude,
shit set,
right?
but I love it.
It's a good
Yeah.
fucking set. Like I know the cards are trash. Like the power level and power creep isn't very good. I don't know. Like, do you think I did the
So Fallen Empire is like from the power level is terrible. It's a
yeah?
really shit set.
Okay, cool.
But
But the whole
here's
theme, the theme.
I have like a personal like attachment to Fallen Empires because it's one of the sets that I got when I was first started out as a kid. Like I
Oh,
was like
nice.
8 years old, and we'd go to the hobby store. Like me, my brother, and my dad. My dad really loves like model trains and model cars and that kind of stuff. We go to the
Hmm.
hobby store. My brother and I would like look at the magazines, and we'd look at like the cards and stuff.
Uh
And my
huh.
dad would be like, "Okay, you can have one thing," and we're like, "Okay, let's get the magic cards." And then he was like, "Okay, you have to get the cheapest one though." And at the time, like, who knew the difference between like a revised pack and like a Fallen Empires pack?
Yeah.
So we have a shitload of Fallen Empires because we would go like every week, and my dad would buy us like a Fallen Empires pack because it was the cheapest one. And he could have been buying us revised. We could have been rolling in like dual lands,
Yeah.
but nope. We got a lot of got a lot of Fallen Empires, man.
Like the difference is like a quarter back then or something crazy. Yeah.
I remember when I was in high school, like so later, for one of our birthday, my brother and I have the same birthday. We're not twins. It's a weird thing. We have the same birthday, like a year apart. It's a weird thing.
Wow.
Um, yeah,
That's crazy, man.
yeah. So on our birthday, we had all of our friends come over, and we were like, my mom was like, okay, we'll buy you guys a box to draft. Like, so she was gonna buy us a box to draft. Me and my friends would all
Whoa.
draft. And we went to the store, and they were like, okay, you can have a box of the new set. I think it was like Nemesis. No, maybe yeah, like Nemesis
Or
or Mercadian.
Odyssey or
Yeah, Mercadian Mask or some shit like that.
yeah.
And it was like, or there's these boxes of Fallen Empires for 40 bucks. And they were only 40 bucks. Like they're trying to get rid of them, man. They were trying to push that shit out.
Oh yeah.
And we ended up buying like 3 boxes of Fallen Empires.
That's
And so we
awesome.
had this massive Fallen Empires draft. It was so bad. Like all the cards are so bad.
Yeah.
Um it was a lot of fun, man. When everything sucks, like things that suck become good because they're everything sucks.
Yeah.
Um it was a lot of fun. So yeah, I
Was
have
it
a lot
fun
of
to
fond.
draft? Like I can't. Like, it must have been a
It was terrible.
funny.
People are like, there's like a
Everyone
couple
has their
cards.
like 2 1s and 1 2s and
The pump
1
the pump
1s.
knights the pump knights are so good, like the Order of the Ebon Hand and, like, the Order of Lieber or whatever they're called. They're
Uh,
so good because 'cause they're, like, 2 ones that they can pump or give themselves first strike, and they're like the best, man. Or the shitty, the Homarid, the deep spawn. It's
yeah,
like a it's like a 7/7 giant freaking, like, lobster.
or
That
the
thing's a
wall of
bomb.
kelp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that like yeah, it was fun. Or like I remember some people try to do thalids to do like a thalid deck. Um, yeah, it was fun, man. I good memories of playing with really shit cards. And then when people got bored, we went and played StarCraft because that was a new game at the time. But yeah, it was good.
That sounds
Um,
really funny. Yeah, I mean, I just like the theme of it. I like the whole thing where it's like, previous empires have fallen and just like it's just very dark and gloomy in a way. It really drew me in with that and but that's oh man, that's a
I
funny
I don't.
nostalgic story. Did the
Can you
store
see
owner
it?
really like, oh, you could have this or you could
Yeah, he did.
have this?
Oh yeah, he did. He totally. He's like, you can have one box of whatever it was. I think it was like Mercadian Mask or something. Or we have Fallen Empires for $40 each. You can get three of them. And we're like, we get three of them. Yeah, let's
3.
just do it. We knew it was bad. Like we knew it
Yeah.
was a bad set. Like because we were like into Magic. We were like went to tournaments and stuff. We knew what we were getting into, but it was fun. It was really fun.
That sounds cool.
Yeah. Pardon me. I
You're
wanted
good.
to show like you can't really see it, but there's a Fallen Empires comic book, like right there.
There's a
So
comic book for it?
yeah, so there's old Magic comic series. So in that YouTube channel that I mentioned that I made like a in 2019 that I did Magic stuff, I did a video talking about the Magic comic books, and there's a Fallen Empires comic book series. It's only like 2 or 3 episodes, like 2 or 3 issues long, but I have a sealed one over there that has a booster pack of Fallen Empires in it. Um, the art on the cover is really cool. It's got this lady with like red hair and she's like holding the sword. It looks cool. But yeah, it's hard to see back there. But
I want to see if
I
I
had
can find a PDF on that online. That sounds really
I,
cool.
I'm pretty sure they exist because back in the day, Wizards of the Coast uploaded all of like the PDFs for the original comics.
Hmm.
Um, and so I'm pretty sure that one's up there. I knew about the comics because when I was a kid, like I said, we went to the hobby store a lot and they had like comic books and stuff too. And we saw the Magic comics. And so I had the Antiquities War comics
Oh.
with like Urza and Mishra. Those are cool. The art was really good in those too.
And were the comics essentially the lore book, but for kids?
Not well, no, they're not for kids.
Okay.
Like the comics are like people get their heads blown off and stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're like they're kind of bloody for some of them. Um, Yeah. But they're literally just comic books. Like
That
just a
sounds
story,
cool.
random character. Anytime they would do a thing in Magic, I'd be like, "Oh, they're doing the thing." But it's not like it is today, like there's you have Jace and Chandra and they are going to the next world that we're trying to sell you. They're going to Kaldheim to do Kaldheim things. It's like here's some random shit. Like here's a
Yeah.
dude, you don't know who this dude is. And like he's casting this spell and you're like, "Oh shit, that's he's casting like lightning bolt or whatever." Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
They're really fun.
So it didn't have to be epic. It was just it was what it was, and they were doing the cards that you could play with.
It kind of felt like they just gave the authors like sometimes like just do whatever you want. Like some of them were
Yeah.
just like, here's magic, just do it, go for it. Except for the Antiquities one. The Antiquities one actually followed the story of the brothers, but
Mm.
um, yeah. So if you can find them, they're kind of weird, but I recommend it. They're pretty short too.
I'll have to check those out. I didn't even know that there's a comic book stuff, and yeah, because man, when I was a kid, I was into the whole like just having the cards and building the decks and stuff. But as I got older, man, the artwork really is speaking to me, and I don't know, I don't know. It's just a way of thinking of this is a piece of artwork, and it's just some of the cards are just beautiful, and that's why I really got into. Okay, I got into Magic the Gathering, the new set. I think it was um, Ixalan, and then I
Mm.
was like, okay, well, what was previously? And I looked at all the old cards, all the old set, and I kept going. And like some sets, especially like the Urza's block, like that looks like. what we're having now with Flesh and Blood, like Monarch. Like I feel like that level of like art increase and like craziness is what we're seeing now, and it's just it's cool to see like different sets through time and how things are evolving, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. I'll be honest, man. One of the only Magic things I even buy these days. Are you familiar with the art books? Like the
Hmm.
really nice, like big art books, like the art of Magic the Gathering, and it'll be like
Oh, actually, no,
Innistrad.
they have that.
Yeah, they're really, really nice. They're kind of expensive, though you can buy them on Amazon. And I have ooh, they're all down. They're all down there, right there. All these Magic art books.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
those are like the only Magic things I even buy these days. I mean, sometimes I'll buy a random set or something, but usually not. The art books are awesome. If you like the art, they're so cool because like it's not just like pictures. It's like pictures, but then it tells you about the world and tells you about like the lore. It's kind of like the Flesh and Blood lore book.
Oh, I
It's
gotta
very
look
similar
into
to that.
that. That sounds cool.
Yeah, and if you find them on eBay or not eBay, Amazon, they're like pretty cheap, like $20 or something on Amazon.
Oh, it's not
Um,
bad at all.
I think the MSRP is like 50 or something, but you can get them for way cheaper on Amazon. Yeah, they're super nice. I at one point I just bought all of them. There's a
Oh,
bunch of
like the
them.
whole set? Like how there's just a bunch of them for each set, and it was like,
There's like there's not a whole lot of them. So there's like I think the first one they did was for Zendikar, the original Zendikar. So there's like Zendikar, Innistrad,
Dominaria? I really like
Kaladesh.
Dominaria.
They did a Dominaria one. The
Gotta look
most
that
recent
up.
one they did was like it was called War of the Spark, but it wasn't for the set War of the Spark. It was for the whole story leading up to it. So it actually covers a lot of old sets
Hmm,
too. Like it covers like Shards of Alara and that kind of stuff. Goes all the way back.
that sounds
Um
cool.
I think it was pretty sweet. I made a video of it on on Red Zone Rogue that like did got like no views because anytime I make a Magic video, no one like watches it, which is fair, you know, it's
Yeah.
fair.
Well, it's a good thing, right? Well, like,
Yeah,
it's because you're really into Flesh and Blood, like I am. I made a
yeah.
whole channel based on Flesh and Blood, and it's nice that, because in the beginning, I think Flesh and Blood videos didn't get as many views, but now things are happening. People are seeing all this news and they're wondering what's happening with this game and getting in. And I think even just the continual player count and collector count is rising like drastically. It's crazy.
Um, yeah, I
Like
mean, I could
the
tell
amount of
you.
content creators out there too, man. Remember when like I,
Yeah.
I started around, there were not that many people. It's like you, DM Armada, and like, I don't want to keep listening because I'm gonna forget
So
like you said
like
earlier, but
the
yeah.
the like the OG people who are around when I did it was DM Armada, Yazi,
Yazi.
and like that's about it. Like there might be maybe one or two other people I'm forgetting, but like Yazi commented on my first Flesh and Blood video.
Really?
And yeah, the very first one, he's like, "Oh, I'm so glad other people are talking about this." So like I think he was like one of the like the super OG ones. And then like yeah, me and DM Armada uh and then yeah, Team Covenant started talking about it more. Rudy started talking about it more.
Yep.
Um and now like Noxious talks about it and Clarion Community College and yeah. And then we
Yeah.
have like like you said like a ton of other like new ones popping up like all the time.
It's
Which
a
is
crazy world, man. And so what about these interview type things? Like, you think you're gonna do more? Because I really like the one with you and Talarian Community College, man. That was
y-
really fun to
yeah.
watch and hear you guys talk, and like it's fun talking to you today. Like, how do you feel about the whole talking aspect of making content? Because it's different. Like when I first started this shit, it was so much harder, dude. Because like I'm so used to like being on my own schedule and like talking to my camera piece, and it's just me, and I don't have to think about what anyone else is saying and kind of reverberate back on that and think about, it's more of everything's in your mind, right? And it's like a train track, you're laying out pieces in your mind of what you're going to say. But when you're talking to someone else, it's like you have to think of what they're saying, and I know maybe it's just
So
basic conversation, but anyway.
I mean, like for the Tulane Community College thing, I actually wrote up 10 questions with like follow-up things. I didn't think it would take that long. I didn't think it would be like an hour long, but man, we like to talk. Um so yeah, I am gonna have another interview
Oh,
eventually.
cool.
It's gonna be with another like big person. I don't wanna say who it is because if
Oh
like
yeah.
we don't have any plans. Like he's agreed to it, but we don't have any like super set plans because he's really fucking busy. Um,
James White.
so
No, just kidding.
I mean,
Just kidding.
it
Just
it
kidding. I'm
it
not gonna.
it, it is someone from Legend Story Studios. I'll tell you that.
Okay, that's cool,
So
man.
yeah, so I have plans to have someone from Legend Story Studios on the channel to talk about stuff, not just Flesh and Blood, maybe other stuff too. But um, yeah, and then what
Because
else?
do you think they
What else?
age well? I think they do. Like
Yes.
it's cool to
Well,
hear like certain period esque conversations between two people.
I think like for example, like the Tolarian Community College video that I put out, the interview. I
Hmm.
think that video is going to age really well. I mean, obviously the video is already done really good because it
Oh
has
yeah.
the professor in it. But I think it's going to age super well because, like we're talking about, anytime someone types in Tolarian Community College Flesh and Blood, it's going to be up there.
Yep.
Anytime types in Tolarian Community College interview, it's going to be up there. Um, so I think they will age like very well. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, totally. And I mean, just talks, from a specific period, I could definitely see they're huge, man.
I tried to I joked about it in the interview that I did with him. I tried to not date the video because I wanted it to be an evergreen thing. So I didn't want to say anything that would tell people like when it was being filmed. But I did mention like when we were talking, I'm like, oh, Monarch's coming out soon, and I jokingly said like, oh, that's gonna date the video now. People know know when we're
Oh, I
recording
remember
this.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. But I try to make it more evergreen, that kind of stuff. So if someone's watching it like 2 years from now, it'll still be as important. If that
Oh,
makes
for
any sense.
sure. No, because you don't want to like say like a certain date, because then it's people like, oh, this is old, and it feels like that. Whereas if you have just a crisp like, you know, you don't date period. Yeah, I feel you. Then it just feels evergreen, like you said. I love those
Yeah,
buzzwords. I gotta remember and level up
yeah.
and like
Level up's good.
yeah.
Um, I will say, like I said, I'm not gonna spoil too much. I have talked to James White,
Oh,
so
nice.
I have messaged James White, and he is super busy, man.
Oh, I can't
You can
imagine.
you can imagine, yeah, yeah. Dude is like super busy, but
Like, did you watch the stream where he's making the deck, the seal, and
yeah,
he's like he's talking and he made like a misstep or he said something a different out of order. He's like, dude, I've been up since like 7 a.m. trying to get this stuff shipped. Like, I don't know.
yeah,
I'm trying my best here. This is supposed to be my fun time. I
yeah.
thought, yeah.
I hope after Monarch, the dude can just get like a nice like 3 days of sleep
Oh
or
yeah.
something. Because I've asked other people because I've I have a lot to thank Flesh and Blood for, right? I mean, like obviously, a lot of the current success of my channels from Flesh and Blood, but I've also met like so many people through the game. Um, like the obvious ones are like I did an interview with the professor, so I met the professor because of Flesh and Blood, and I'm kind of friends with Noxious because of Flesh and Blood. We like chat occasionally, and then like I'm also friends with some of the people from Legend Story Studios because of it, and I chat with like some people like almost on a daily basis, and I asked one of them, I was like, hey man, if I want to send James a message, I just want to tell him thank you, because he's one of my friends on Facebook, but I don't
Mhm.
really bug him a lot because I don't want to bug him.
Oh yeah,
um,
yeah. Because they're really
and I'm like,
busy.
yeah, and I'm like, I want to send him a message. I just want to say thank you for everything. Um, do you think he would be cool with me just dropping a DM like just out of nowhere, or would he prefer like a formal email or something? And the guy was like, he's like, James doesn't. What did he say? I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something along the lines of, "Dude hardly gets any sleep" or something like that. Like,
I can
um,
imagine.
and he's like, "I'm sure James would love to hear from you." Blah blah blah. But yeah. So
Because you're making this epic game that's on a global scale, that's this high quality. I mean, with the team that he's running, I mean, it's extremely small. I can't imagine how they do all this shit with
oh
like
yeah, man.
20, what was it, 20 people over there?
They're,
It's like a
dude,
skeleton crew.
they're an indie studio. They're still an indie studio. No
It's
matter like
nuts.
how big people think Flesh and Blood is, no matter when you look at the card prices, dude, they are an indie studio. I know that they founded Legend Story Studios with their own life savings,
Yeah.
um, which is one of the reasons I respect the hell out of them, man.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
they built like something from nothing, and just not nothing, from passion and hard
Hey,
work, but
essentially nothing, man. Like, yeah,
but yeah,
they built it from the ground up, and that's why they're gonna last a long fucking time. Is because they don't have all this debt on them. They don't have these obligations. It's all their shit, and the thing is really popular now, so they have enough money and I mean, they might have to get more crew. I mean, out there. I don't know how they're gonna operate in the next year or two with the only bunch of group that they have now. I mean, it's a lot of work. I can't imagine what they're going through.
yeah. I've joked. I was like, "Yo, if you ever open up a office in the U.S., I'll be the first person to apply."
Yeah,
Like,
man.
yeah, like let me in, let me in.
Especially if it's like a part-time job, man. I would definitely like jump on that in no time. I mean, even if it's like some desk work or some intern level stuff.
Yeah, I know. Like this is funny though. I know once again another very underrated channel. Though I don't know if they're going to be doing stuff now because of what I'm going to talk about. But Session Blood. Are you familiar with
Yes.
Session Blood?
Session Blood's
Um,
awesome. Kieran and Carol.
uh, yeah, they work for Legend Story Studios now.
They
Like
do?
they're yeah.
That's so
Like
cool.
watch that stream. Like watch that Legend Story Studios stream. It's like a internal pre-release. They're in the stream because they work on the game now.
That's
Um,
awesome.
I'm not sure what their positions are. I think one of them is like a designer. The other one might be like organized play or something. I'm not sure exactly what they do, but um, yeah,
Because I
they're
saw their podcast where they went into the studios, and I think they interviewed Jason Chung, which makes
mhm.
sense now. I guess they maybe that was the day that they went over there to apply, or maybe
Well,
that was
if
when
you
they were in there. Yeah.
if you look at one of their ones before that one,
Hmm.
they had an announcement. I think it's called like special announcement or something. And at the end of the video, he said one of them says, I can't remember. I mix up their names. I'm so bad with names. But one of them says that like he's gonna be working at Legend Story Studios.
That's so
I didn't know that.
cool.
I didn't know that both of them were working at there until I saw the stream, the Monarch stream, where they're both there. And I'm like, oh well, I
That
guess that
makes
makes sense
sense.
then.
Yeah.
And Legend Story Studios recently put out a video on YouTube, like pack one, pick one Monarch,
Hmm.
and they're both in the video.
Oh, I haven't
Um,
seen that one yet. That's good on them, man. Because they're, I
yeah,
mean, they've been around for a really long time, and they're really passionate about the game. It's cool to see that they jumped on board.
they were another one of my contenders for most underrated Flesh and Blood channel because they do great stuff, man. And then I look at their like sub numbers and I'm like, what the hell?
That sounds
Like,
like a really good video, Cal. Top five underrated YouTube channels.
yeah. The only problem with that is like it'll make feel
Oh,
bads. Like if
oh,
I
that is
forget
true.
if I forget someone, I always try to avoid that kind of stuff because like there's so many, like you said, there's so many like Flesh and Blood content creators, and like it would take me forever to just to list off like everyone, and I don't
There,
want to miss
there needs
anyone.
to be a buzzword for this. What's the buzzword? Where you don't want to list out people for the fact that you're gonna miss people, and then you're gonna feel
Yeah.
bad because you miss them.
Oh, yeah, I'm not sure. All I can think of is feel bads, but like I don't want any
Feel
feel bads.
bads. Yeah,
Yeah, I don't want any feel bads. Um, so yeah,
yeah.
but yeah. And I
But
mean,
man,
like they,
hmm?
I mean, clearly other people thought they were great too because they got picked up by Channel Fireball as well, and obviously now they're working at Legend Story Studios. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah, the level of their content was really cool. What I liked about them is it was like a simple format, and then what I liked is the backdrop. They had really cool backdrops with the green
oh yeah,
screen. That was really nice, and the level of depth of gameplay that you listened to was just on another scale that I hadn't been accustomed to. And at first, it seemed very like a little like a little bland, but then when you listen to what they're saying and the level of depth and you visualize in your mind, you can really see that like they're thinking about this game on like another level, and it's
yeah.
really cool to see that.
They they were I say were I don't know if they're gonna continue doing stuff now that they work at Flesh or at Legend Story Studios,
Hmm.
but like they were like in my opinion like the best competitive like Flesh and Blood content because they
Yeah,
just went super deep into it, just like how I said like Dead Summer Art is like the best like lore kind of thing. I think Session Blood was like the best like competitive one.
what
Though
am
I
I?
mean, like I said, there's a bunch of other good people too, but
What am I the best at?
um,
I'm
put
compliment
me
fishing.
put me on the spot
Don't you
here.
love that as a host? Like who compliment fishes?
Um, I mean, like you're really good at like community stuff.
Thanks,
Like
man.
when I think of like Bronson, I think about like you're a really big supporter of like the community, and that kind of stuff. And also, man, you I don't know if you pump out the same number of videos still, but you used to pump out videos like so much. Like
Daily.
yeah, you made so many videos.
I did a daily video. Yeah, a lot of them have such been deleted. But yeah, man, I was on that grind, and that's the type of grind. Like I know what you mean. Like you have to be on it to, get those reps in.
I will say, daily videos. Do how many videos do you try to put out like these days?
Oh man, I do as much as I can. Maybe like 2 or 3 a week. But
I think it's a
now
good
I'm
number.
doing a lot more longer videos like this, to where it's like 40 minutes or something.
Um, I think daily videos can be good if your channel already has an audience, but if
Mm,
you're putting out daily videos and like, I think it'll cannibalize a lot of your views, right? Because like if you don't have a ton of people watching, people are like strapped for time, right? I know this too. Like people have time. Time is valuable. I personally don't have enough time to watch everything that I want in a day.
mm.
So if someone's putting out like 2 videos a day, because some of YouTubers that I watch are literally putting out like 2 videos a day, I'm like, bro, I don't have time to watch all this.
Two a
I can
day
watch
is
like
tough.
yeah, I can watch like maybe one video. Um, so like I think at a certain point you just kind of like cannibalize your own audience. So like
Mm.
pacing it, you'll probably see better like if someone was putting out like a video every single day. I think if you paced it, the individual views would be better per video. I guess it depends on your audience too,
I
but
totally agree with that. I think over one video a day is way too much. And doing a daily video is smart, but having an audience to back that up and making sure people are watching, and if you don't see that, probably focusing more on quality, which I'm not like the best at in editing and all that stuff. But yeah, that's probably the route to do. Like how long does it take you to edit some videos? Have you gotten that down to a science? Cuz I
it,
don't edit shit. Like
it
sometimes I
depends.
do, but very
I,
lightly.
I I edit every video that I do. I put in the intro and the music and the outro. It
Well,
depends on
that's
the
good, dude.
video.
It's high quality. I like it. No,
Yeah,
no, it's really cool stuff.
my idea is like I don't necessarily want to be the first one out on out the gates, but I'd want to be one of the best ones out the gates if that makes any sense. So I'd
That makes
rather put
sense.
in the time to make the video like as good as I can within like the time that I'm willing to do. Um, and rather than just to push it out as quick as possible.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and I think that's good though. Like I think that works.
Oh, I
Um,
agree. Yeah, no,
um,
it's always good to bump your quality level up, and that's what I had to do for a bit via that like lighting. Lighting is horrible. Like I don't know. Do you have
yep.
nightmare lighting issues? Like it's tough.
Um, Lighting is very important. So luckily, we didn't talk about this. Luckily, I actually have a degree in film.
Oh, nice.
Um, my this is a really worthless degree. So I went to the University of Oregon, and I was gonna have a degree in history, also a worthless degree. I was gonna have a degree in history, and then I was like, I was taking film classes for my fun classes, and the head of the department, the English department, was like, "Hey, you're taking all these classes. We're gonna make it into a major. Would you like to sign up?" And I'm like, "Hell yeah, sign me up for another pointless pointless degree." So I've learned a little bit about filming and lighting. Um, Historically speaking, sound has always been my problem, um, but like lighting now, I have a big light right over there. It's like on a really big tripod. I have another light right there, and then I have turn it off. I have an umbrella light,
Oh,
umbrella light
nice.
back there too. Um, so lighting is very important. I agree. Um, you can make a shot that looks like crap look really good with good lighting. Like
Oh
if you
yeah.
have like a crappy camera or something like that, your shot can still look really good with lighting.
Oh,
Um,
agreed.
I I recently invested once I moved into this new studio, I had more space. In my old place, it was literally in like a really tiny cramped room in my old place. And
That's how
so
I am now.
yeah, man, I feel you. It was like a really tiny cramped room. A lot of people are like, the camera's too close. You're too close, and I'm like, I don't have any more space.
I
Like
can't move back.
it's gonna be this close.
Yeah.
So here at least I have space in this room.
Well, that's what you have to
Uh,
do. You have to back yourself in a corner. That's what I like. Early on, I had it in the middle of my room, but you could see all this bullshit in the background. But I like moved myself and clump myself into the
Yeah.
corner so it's not as much, crap that I have to deal with. This is like maybe 30% of the room. Well, no, no, no. I'm way overestimating. This is like 15% of the room right here. But then there's this
Yeah.
whole other world over there. Yeah.
Yeah, so like here, I'm sitting at a table against the wall, but like this is where I usually film, and I just sit kind of like in the corner here. And the idea was kind of the same thing, right? So I sit in the corner, and then all you see is just all this cool shit.
Yeah.
Like, and that's all you see. You don't see the walls or anything else. And that was like my plan for this new studio. I was like, I just want to sit down and be surrounded by like
Like
cool
cool
shit.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly the. I was like, I just want to be surrounded by cool shit.
I
Like
love the
when you're,
bookcases too, dude. Like that nice black and oh yeah, it's
yeah.
they're filled. It looks like really nice.
Yeah, and I was like, I wanted it to feel like because I've never really had a room like this. I wanted this studio to feel like when you walk into like a really cool LGS when you're a kid, and you see all of like the cool posters of all like the cool shit. And you're like, oh wow, like look at all this stuff.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to do that. These bookcases are pretty tall. They're like 6 or 7 feet tall.
Wow.
So when you're standing up to them, like you kind of have to look up. So you have like this sense that like, oh, everything looks like so big.
That's cool,
Um,
man.
yeah, like that Viscerai poster is like probably like 10 feet off the ground. It took me a while to get it up there, but um,
The setup is just beautiful. Yeah, no, I really like your new studio, dude, and it's cool how
thank you.
you made the move and put it all together, and the
I,
backdrop too is really nice. But
I
man,
appreciate it. It
ca-
took me a solid like 2, 3 days of putting furniture together to get it up.
ca-
Anyway, yeah, yeah,
lots of nails and what is it? IKEA stuff.
just screwing stuff in. My hand and my palm was like kind of bruised from pushing down on screwdrivers.
Oh,
Probably should have just bought like an electric one, but whatever.
I'm telling you, Kel, that electric screwdriver that I bought a while back is like the one of the best purchases I've ever made in my life, hands
I need to buy.
down.
I
I
need to
mean,
buy. I remember my. Oh, go ahead.
oh no, I know you recently put stuff together, so it kind of sucks, but yeah, it's so good, dude.
Yeah, yeah. My dad has like my dad's really like I said, I mentioned him before. My dad's super handy, and so he had like these massive ones. They just put it in and go, and they just like
Yeah,
immediately screw it in. And I'm just here like just trying to push it in. Yeah,
yeah,
and
because there's
sometimes
this
like
one project I had where I was just stripping the thing too much, and I was like, okay,
yeah,
I'm not gonna deal with this bullshit anymore. Went to the store, got a $50 power drill, and it was just or power screwdriver, and it just made it so much easier. Never looked back since.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I should just buy one. There's a freaking Ace Hardware just like down the road. I could just go. I should just go buy one. I don't know. Maybe the next time I have to
Next
put some
project,
furniture to
yeah.
it. Yeah,
But hey, man, I really appreciate your time. I know, what is it? I've taken a lot of your time here today. I really appreciate it, man. Is there anything
yeah,
you want to plug
no
at the
problem.
end? You have an awesome YouTube channel. It's really cool to see it, grow since I've been doing it. I've watched your channel before. I started YouTube channel and I've really gotten woke to a lot of cool like buzzwords now. So I know the level ups, and I know I know a lot of the what is it? Shoot, I'm
Evergreen.
evergreen. Yep. And then,
I
the feel
I think about
bads.
feel bads. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think about like content creation a lot. So like even when I'm like not doing YouTube stuff when I have to work my retail job, I'm still thinking about it. So
same.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know, like if any of the folks out here are watching and they like whatever crap I was saying, they can go ahead and check out my YouTube channel, Red Zone Rogue. I make flesh and blood content. I do other content too, but it's mostly flesh and blood. I would say it's like 90% flesh and blood now. And I also make stuff, flesh and blood content for Channel Fireball. So you can check me out on Channel Fireball too. And yeah,
Sounds good. And I'll put links down below to all your, content stuff. And yeah, it was a lot of fun talking to you, man. Thanks for talking to me today.
yeah, it was a lot of fun talking to you as well. Thank you for having me on. It was a long time coming, I would say.
Oh yeah, too long, but it was really cool sitting down with you, man. I'll talk to you
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah. Talk to you next time. Have a good one.